Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams for what is round number 4, a double header again. And we're going to start off right here with the Radicals. As you can see, our location is Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia in the USA. As I said earlier, 3 races we're actually going to have the pleasure of bringing to you here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams. But the guys are in qualifying at the moment. They're just about to get that all sorted, and we're going to see who's going to start off the front row for round number 4. But we'll take this opportunity to bring up your championship standings before we take the green flag here for race number 1. It will be 2 races, like we said, 15 minutes for the first one, 25 minutes reverse top 10. And look at those points. Stuart Ellis, 146, 1 point between him and Guy Leach, and Richard Mayer in third with 142. Sagasa, Wood and Rankin, your top 6 with Glenn Riddell, Aidan Schwerkert. I didn't pronounce that right again. David Christensen and Matt Schmidtke rounding out your 10. So it's a really, really tight battle at the top there, and Virginia International Raceway is going to make for some very interesting racing. There is the track information for you. So we're running the full course. As I said, location is Alton, USA. Track length is 5.22 kilometers in length. The temperature tonight will be 20 degrees Celsius at an altitude of 166 meters. It's clear, 10 kilometer an hour winds, 79% chance of rain, but we know that's not going to happen because iRacing isn't smart enough for that yet. And the actual weather, or the temperature of the weather rather, is 19 degrees Celsius. Of course, myself, Aidan Schultz in the booth, and Daniel Kriasar, the man behind the cameras, bringing all the action to you. And I'll take this opportunity, as we're just watching the last minute and a half of qualifying, and we will very shortly just bring up where your favourite driver is. But before I do that, good evening to you, Daniel, mate. Round number 4, we're back with the Radicals for 2 races, reverse top 10 for the second one, and then we're straight across for the GT4s again, and we'll be from Imola, so we're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, tonight should be a really good session of racing. Of course, we're kicking off with the Downforce Legends here at Virginia International Raceway, a fantastic track, well known for its oak tree hairpin. And I'm not too sure what kind of racing we're going to get with Radicals down here. The thing about these cars is they're very easy to spin, and Virginia's always been a place where people spin. So I'm very curious to see when the pack starts rolling and everybody's going crazy on the first couple of laps, just how much carnage we're about to get as we see Braden Sagasa on the screen right now. So he's actually moving down towards the oak tree hairpin. And cars like these, when you get to this part of the track, decelerating as fast as they do, I'm very, very curious to see just how cleanly these guys get through there. I think there's going to be a lot of attacks on insides of corners, especially down towards that section there. But yeah, look, I'm not sure. I'm sure it's going to be a great session of racing. But, we'll see what it throws at us.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I was actually thinking about that as qualifying just wraps up now, and we're about to go green flag racing for race number 1, but I was thinking about that on the way home and I was having the same thoughts. But here's your grid for round number 4, race number 1 of the GSRC Downforce Legends. Braden Sagasa on the pole position, Stuart Ellis on 2, Richard Mayer and Reece Gosney out of the second row, Guy Leach and Aidan Schwerkert out of the third, Nick Fodiatis and John Merritt out of the fourth, and Paul Wood and John Baldwin will round out the 5th row of the grid for race number 1. As we go across the page, 6th row, Tony Baker and Mitch McIntyre, Kevin Henderson and Adam Twice the 7th, Grant Gill, Sean Rees the 8th, Phil King and Phil Butler, it's an all-Phil 9th row lockout, Pete Matto Matson out of the next row with Ben Woods out of the 20th starting position tonight. A very, very decent field here for the Downforce Legends. Once again, we did see that last week, so it's no surprise to see that again, Daniel. We go green flag very, very shortly as you see them all lining up on the grid. But we've seen Braden Sagasa up the front again. We were lucky enough to talk to him last week, I believe, and he's put it off pole again for this one.
Yep, he's done a good job there. Don't quite have the times on me, so I'm not sure exactly what he set for his qualifying lap. But we'll see if he can hold steady at the front of the pack. What's that? 20 cars on the grid, so this is actually going to be quite an interesting race with that many cars. Hopefully nobody stalls it off the start again. That would be unfortunate. So we should hopefully we'll have a good clean start and everybody will get a good run down to turn 1, and then we'll allow the chaos to happen further on in the lap.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to see anyone stall it. The viewers, it might be some good viewing, but I don't think the drivers would like that. So the lights are up now, and we're about to go green flag racing for race 1, round number 4 of the Downforce Legends Virginia International Raceway, and we are off. And it looks like a bit of an incident, but it looks like they've all got off pretty cleanly as they head down into turn number 1. Braden Sagaser and Stuart Ellis there side by side, and there's a big incident behind there. So, off the lid. And another one off the lid.
Oh, no.
There's a commentator for you, Daniel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's...
Straight up again, mate.
That's a rough one there. And again, it's just one of those things. People go a little too hard into the first turn. That one there is actually one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Just based on the amount of carnage there was. We'll see if we can get a look at that again. So they all come down. There was an issue at the start of the grid. You can see the purple car at the back with the bent wing there, and then everyone sort of just gets into each other. There goes Kevin Henderson off to the side, and oh man, everybody just gets caught up in that.
Involved in that one. I don't know who ended up upside down, but 2 cars unfortunately upside down. It looked like a car come rip snorting in from the back of the field and just helped finish off that incident. But we are going down the back straight now, and your leader is Braden Sagaser, and he's going to want to try stretch his legs a little bit on Stuart Ellis. We'll see whether Stuart Ellis and Guy Leach have anything for him as the race goes on, but Braden Sagaser has been very quick in the radical.
I believe we're under safety car conditions.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, this might give us a chance to catch our breath.
No, we are. Because you can see the yellow flags up on the top left of your screen there on the timing tower. That does indicate that we are in a full course yellow condition. So race control deemed that incident was severe enough to call out a safety car. I don't blame them. You had at least 2 cars upside down. And so that one makes sense to me. We can see them all sort of lining up. I'm just curious as to where that safety car is, because it doesn't come up as an entry on the board. So
I would suggest they're going... is it actually iRacing safety car, or... No, they don't know. No, they wouldn't have iRacing safety car, so because it doesn't do that. So I would suggest that...
Oh, there it is there.
In front there. Yeah, just come out of pit lane. So your leader, Braden Sagaser, is going to reset the field as they follow the safety car. Keep in mind too, Daniel, this might get a bit spicy because we're 2.5 minutes in. This is going to take up a good 3 or 4 minutes behind the safety car, I'd suggest. We might go back green this lap if the field catches up. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, also race control have their hands very full right now trying to unfold what happened down there at turn number 1.
Yep, they will definitely have to go through each driver's perspective, trying to ascertain if anyone was at fault in particular, or if it was just one big giant racing incident, considering the speed that some of those cars did go into turn 1 at the time. I would assume that a yellow flag was being flown when the first initial contact or the slowdowns were happening, and so I feel like there might be some penalties being dished out, but we'll wait and see. Obviously, there we are, the leader behind the safety car there, Stuart Ellis in P2, Guy Leach P3, and everybody just closing up. So the grid, I believe, is actually pretty... If we go back towards the tail end of the grid, everyone is there. So they are now in a snake formation. Yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't go green flag now, but I believe the safety car usually stays out for a minimum of a lap. So in that case, we would have to do another rotation, and then the safety car should come in.
Yeah, I'd suggest you'd be correct there, Daniel, in saying that. I believe they would as well give some guys... Well, you can already see down on the left-hand side of your screen on the tower, looks like Grant Gill and Philip Howe has called it a night. I'm not sure whether Adam Tice took the grid. I can't remember whether I called his name. Yes, he did, because I can see the live timing going crazy with that. So it looks like the big players out of that one were Adam Tice, Grant Gill, Phil King and Philip Howe. So they won't play any further part, or if they do, and Joshy's just said thanks for that, Josh, and race control. Needs to be a full lap under yellow and then go green. So we'll do one more after this one. But pretty stagnant for your top five. Mayer and Gosner's down one spot from where they started. Leach has made a couple of spots up into third. The big winner so far down in P8, Pete Matson, starting 19th up into P8. So good job there by Pete. We'll see whether he can hold a nice solid top 10. And if he can, well, at the moment he's starting P3 for race number 2. So good job there by Pete. But this is going to reset the field. And here we go. 15-second penalty. Car 064 John Merritt, contact with car 99 Nick Bodiatis on lap 1. So John Merritt, he was on screen in the yellow and red Pulse car, I believe it was. If I remember, if we go back to the replay, we'll see what happens down into turn number 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, basically just bumps right into the back of Nick there. And he himself gets tagged. Oh, he... Well, that's... Oh, and then ends up pulling out... Yeah, it's just chaos all around. But, yeah, unfortunate there. 15 seconds will go John Merritt's way.
Yeah, so John Merritt currently down in 15th position. He'll join or undertake this restart in 15th. So he's going to go right to the back of the field when he serves that. Well, there would be a post-race 15-second penalty. So depending on whether he makes his way forward and by how much, he doesn't have much time to do so. Only 9 minutes left for race number 1. And we'll see. So that's going to hurt him at the end of race number 1. He'll be coming from deep in the field for race number 2. But Braden Sagasa, as I mentioned, we spoke to him last week in the broadcast booth after a sensational drive. He's shown that he really likes these cars and he likes this car and track combination by looks to it as well. Virginia International Raceway, like you said early in the broadcast, just about 10-15 minutes ago, didn't really know what type of racing it was going to bring. We knew that there was going to be some incidents, and we saw that. But now we're going to reset and go again. And we'll see, I think the next race over the 25 minutes, we might actually get to see, you know, what type of racing it's going to bring out as we've got someone jump up into the booth, Daniel. So, Nick Bodiatis, welcome to the booth, mate. An impromptu jump up. Unfortunately, I believe you might have been caught in that one. Definitely were.
Yeah.
How'd that play out before we go green again?
Oh, look, we're 5 races into the Radicals, and I think every race, first up, I've been run into. So, I don't know if you guys are getting sick of commentating that I'm at the back of the field, but I'm starting to wear a sim with me.
Yeah, mate, it's never good. Probably a little bit hot under the collar as well, and mate, you've got some decent pace, so just put your head back down and try and make some moves forward and err on the side of caution for race 2, and I'm sure we'll see you up fighting.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I break my back to do well in qualifying, and then behind the people that run into me anyway. And something I've noticed is when the pits are closed, people are taking their pit stops, getting the penalty, but then once the other people who stayed out did their pit stops, they get penalised. So anyway.
I think that's going to be. We've got to be impartial here in the commentary. In the commentary thing, but that's unfortunate, mate, because yeah, you have had a bad run of it, but mate, it's only one race away from it turning around.
Yeah. I'll catch you guys later.
No worries, mate. Best of luck. Head down and make your way forward. Anyway, mate, Nick jumping up. Not a very happy chappy here early in race number 1, and we can't really blame him. And you can just see there, ladies and gentlemen, how much this means to these drivers, albeit virtual. They put a lot of effort into it, and Nick not a happy chappy early in this.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him at all. He's right. He's been the recipient of some really bad race starts. As we are just about to get back underway to green flag conditions. You can see them all coming to the line now. It's a decent start by Sagasa. And hopefully we'll have a much cleaner turn 1 than we did at the start of the race as they all make their way down.
See Merritt too wide again in the background there, Daniel. So that will be interesting.
Whoa!
3 wide if you don't mind.
It is a lot cleaner this time. So, oh no, Nick! Now he lost that on his own. I'm not sure if he's got damage or whatnot. His car seems okay. Oh, he's got damage on the front left there, so an unfortunate one there for him. Oh, was there someone else? It's Richard Mayer. Into the wall.
Out of number 3, Richard Mayer, he's going to drop a ton of spots. Down through the left-right section. Right-left-right section. He's a fast left-hander. Pete Matson, he's got another spot. He's going to be loving this. Up in the 7th position after starting 12th. And that's Joe Baldwin in front of him. He's chasing him down at the moment. Aiden Schwerkett there in 8th position, just following Pete Matson. But good start by Pete. He'll be definitely happy with this one. Let's see if he can hold it at the moment. He's going to make his way further up the grid, further back in the grid for race 2. Woodsy, another committee member here on the GSRC. Oh, a bit of a tap on the back there of, looked like, I'm not sure which car that was. That might have been, he's dropped down the field now, so I couldn't really see who that was. But Woods with a mistake there, and he's going to drop another couple of spots, and he's giving him a bit of damage on the front right-hand corner of that car as we're back on board with Pete Matson. But 10 minutes in, we've only got 4.5 to go. It still is Sagasa, Ellis, Leach, Gosner, and now Paul Wood up into the top 5. Aiden Schwerkett looking at making a move around the outside of Pete Matson down into turn number 1. It's going to be a hard job to keep that around there and make that one stick, and Pete holds him off for one more time. But Aiden's really quick. He's going to want to make a look here pretty shortly, I would suggest. Daniel looking very racing. His teammate right behind him is Sean Reed, same colour car. So they're going to want to make their way forward. Kevin Henderson is behind us in 10, and he's going to start to hold for the next one if it stays this way. But look at this battle, Aiden all up under the rear wing of Pete Matson. It's nowhere to pass through there. I wouldn't be going too wide through here. So he's just going to sit status quo through the change of direction. Have a look for him to have a little bit of a look under brakes into the right hand, 90-degree right-hander rather, onto the back straight. Just keep an eye whether he wants to have a little bit of a look. They'll go through this section. No, he's going to try and set him up for the big run the back straight. And look at that, he's got a great run off the corner. And he's going to be on the wrong side of the track for the first section of this, but he's probably going to get out of it, I'd suggest. Possibly, maybe not. So it's going to go into a left and then a right. So he's on the wrong side of the track for this part. Can he hold it there? Yes, he does. Pete is on the side of caution, backs it out. And there you go, there's the job. Aiden's work it up into the 7th position. Now Sean Rees is going to want to return the favour, his teammate behind there as well. And we go to the battle at the front though, but this is heated up, has it not? Sagasa, Ellison, Leach, and this is going to allow Gosner and Wood back into this one as well. So we worried about the racing, we didn't know what it was going to bring, but these front guys, front 5, definitely turning up the wick with 2.5 minutes to go in sprint race number 1 tonight.
Yeah, so it looks as though once you get past the early race jitters and everyone starts to fall in line, you get some really, really fast racing. We've seen some really good battles. There's Richard Mayer and Tony Baker battling it out there for P12 at the moment. But Guy Leach moved up past Stuart Ellis on the straight now. He's chasing down Sagasa for the lead of the race. And he's actually keeping a really good line here. He's not getting too close because he knows he can't attack. And he'll also, you also don't want to be too close coming up to that oak tree hairpin, because what you'll end up doing is just going right to the back of the car in front of you and most likely getting a penalty because of it. So you keep your pace behind, move in here. You can see the car trying to slide once the downforce starts to lessen. They actually get through that really well. Stuart Ellis right there into that fight as well. Gosner and Wood, P4 and 5 respectively, also fighting. Paul Wood looks to go for an overtake on the left side of the track. They're going to go side by side. Looks like Guy Leach will try and do a similar thing. No. Oh, Stuart Ellis is actually touching the back of the car there, but no harm, no foul.
Yep, game on. Ellis all over the back. So one little mistake there by Leach by the looks of it. Well, not mistake, just didn't carry as much speed as the other two through the corner, and we saw how quick it was for Ellis to have a little bit of a look up the inside. So we'll just have a look at this, see what the draft's like. Looks pretty good at the moment. What I'm noticing early in this one, it's hard to pass. There's very limited opportunities unless you really make a committed pass. So I think there's only 2 or 3 places, but don't be surprised if we see a pass somewhere we don't think so. 5 second penalty for car 07, Tony Baker, contact with car 37 Adam Tice on lap 1. So that was might have been the incident we looked at earlier on turn 1, part of that incident as well. About 5 seconds post-race penalty. 14 and a half minutes now into this one, Daniel. It's flown by, even with the safety car. Next time across, we're going to get the white flag, so we'll complete 8 laps here for race number 1, round number 4 of the Downforce Legends in the Radicals. So Sagasa, Leach, Ellison, Wood are fighting for your top 4 at the moment. There's Gosner in the background. Don't write him off for a chance to get a podium in this one if this gets a bit spicy on the last lap.
Yeah, so Sagasa doing a good job right now, staying ahead. Since we've hit time certain, I wonder, I can't see it on my board, but I wonder if we are actually on the final lap.
Yeah, I'm thinking we could be, because usually it is, or as they go too wide, but I can't see it on my board either. So this is through the final 2 turns here, so we're about to find out. It looks like Sagas has got a little bit of a gap now in first. Second, third, fourth and fifth are right together. So we'll go across the line. We'll see whether Sagas is going to take the win. And
it is.
No.
Oh, no, it is.
Yeah, his checkered flag. Barney waves his checkered flag, and Braden Sagasa comes across the line to win race number 4, round number 4, race number 1 of the Downforce Legends. So another solid result for him. Ellis and Leach, your third, as all the drivers come
across. Nick at the end. So close. Didn't quite get it. He was trying to chase up Brooks there. 0.03 was the difference at the end.
Yeah, very close there. Very, very close. Nick Fodiodis trying to make his way back through the field after what was a very unfortunate race number 1. But here's your results for race number 1. As we said, it will be a reverse top 10 for the 25-minute race number 2. So Braden Sagasa from 19MX Wraps Racing, another win. P1, Stuart Ellis and Guy Leach out at finished 2nd and 3rd. Paul Wood and Reece Gosner, 4th and 5th. John Baldwin, Aidan Schwerkert up to 7th. John Merritt, 8th. Sean Reese, 9th. And your pole sitter for race number 2 is none other than Pete Matson. Have a look at that, Daniel. You'll be happy with that one off the pole position. Mitch McIntyre, 11. Richard Mayer, Ben Wood, Stephen Brooks and Nick Fodiodis, who you heard from earlier in the broadcast. Very heated Nick will start out of 15th. Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson, Philip Butler, Phil King, and Adam Tice will end up finishing in the 20th position, and that's all she wrote for race number 1. So we're always ready to see a bit of action here in the Downforce Legends, but we thought the crash last week was big off the start line. That's taken the cake so far this season.
It definitely has. There was... So the problem, of course, with a start section like Virginia has, is that you have that hairpin for turn 1. And so everyone's trying to gain positions as much as they can, and obviously you can gain a ton of positions when you're in a braking zone, because if you brake later than the car alongside you, then you're going to be in front when it comes time to turn. The problem is, in this case, there's 19 other cars that want to do that with you, as Philip Butler warming up the tyres in a very interesting way. But yeah, there's another 19 cars that want to do the same thing you're doing, right? So the only person that's really out of danger, I suppose, would be Sagasa, who started at the front, because he doesn't have anybody that he has to worry about in front of him. His danger comes from the back, which is if nobody slows up in time, well, then he's target number 1. So everyone gets up to that first corner. Unfortunately, someone touches, I don't know who I believe it was Henderson that was the first incident there. And then, of course, that just cascaded. Everyone's trying to slow up because they're seeing cars ahead of them slowing up, and then one person doesn't slow up enough, and then that's when people start launching and people start flipping, and it's a rough one. But hopefully that deals a lesson. No, that's all right. I was just going to say, hopefully that's a lesson to everyone here, so that at the start of this race we don't have the same result.
We'll see what happens. We do, Josh, we'll be to you shortly, mate. We'll just bring you the start of the race, and we'll come across to our race controller, Josh Juno, in a minute. So Pete Matson off pole, Sean Rees out of 2, second row Merritt and Schwerkert, Baldwin, Gosner, Wood, Leach, Ellis and Sagasi at 10, and we're going green here for race number 2. 25 minutes to they all get away nice and cleanly. It looks like they do, and they're going to make their way down into turn number 1. Are we going to see the same as race number 1? looks like they're all being a little bit more gentlemanlike, and they're going to 2 wide, and I want to say we're going to get through cleanly. It looks like people are checking up a lot and racing or airing on the side of caution a little bit as the car's off into the grass there on the outside. Skycam, of course, brought to you by Waste Options, one of the sponsors here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. We've got a longer race here, so we'll take the opportunity to go through all your sponsors once this race settles down rather. Reece Gosner all over the back of Richard Mayer. Of course, a top 10 reverse grid, or reverse top 10 rather. So Pete Madsen after starting pole, not the best start, back to 8th position, down to 7th position. But you can see how twitchy these cars are, as it looked like that Mayer got really loose there, and he's going to go on the grass, so he's going to drop a ton of spot as they come onto the back straight for the first time tonight. John Merritt, your leader over Leach and Baldwin, but they've all made their way through. We don't have cars upside down, and we're nearly at the end of lap 1, mate, so a lot better start for all the drivers here for race number 2.
It definitely is. And what I'll do is I'll take a chance. Josh, race control. Anything you'd like to enlighten us with?
Good evening, mate.
Yes, yeah, good evening. No, you summed it up very well. When half the car's on their roof, yeah, I think it's only right that we throw a yellow. I did specifically warn them about lap 1, turn 1 here. It's VIR, it's pretty much the fountain at Long Beach, and I'm still having nightmares. So, yeah, they did 7 or 8 minutes under a safety car, so they were all on their best behaviour.
Well, we do know, mate, that Virtual Motorsport, they put their virtual visor down, mate, and they all get a bit hot under the collar and all want to win, and sometimes lose the sight of the warnings from race control. I've been there and done that too, and we saw that definitely tonight. But, mate, race control, very busy. I bet you're happy that the start of race number 1 started a little bit, race number 2 rather, has started a little bit more pedestrian-like, and they're being a little bit more gentle.
Yes, 100% mate, and I'm very thankful to have Jamie in the booth tonight giving me a hand, because the Downforce Legends have been a bit of a hectic show last few weeks, so, you know, another set of eyes never hurts, and yeah, we'll go through it.
Well, thanks for jumping up, mate. We'll let you go down and continue doing your job. We won't hold you for too much longer. We'll chat to you a bit later, but Josh has just jumped off. But Reece Gosner here, Daniel, was in 10th last time we spoke about him, and he's all over the back of Pete Madsen. Pete Madsen up to 6th now, so he did drop back as low as 8th.
Oh, that's Tony Baker.
Tony Baker, so he's had an absolute wretched night. Tony Baker's going to top a heap of spots there, mate.
Now, I'm curious if he did that on his own at first and then was helped by Stuart Ellis. Yeah, so he's just sort of slowed up too much for the corner, and Stuart's had nowhere to go and hit the back of him there, so it's unfortunate for Tony. There's actually the Rothmans.
We saw an inverted view of that car in race number 1, the Rothmans car, but back to race. But it looks like Tony Baker didn't really do a lot wrong there. He was just trying to err on the side of caution and not make contact with the car on the outside, and just tapped and spun around. So don't be surprised if we see a little bit of a penalty there, as Gosner's looking on the outside here and trying to set up a move onto the back straight. He's got Ellis all over the back of him. So Pete Madsen after starting pole doing a great job up into 7th, but he'll be feeling the heat from Reece Gosner at the moment, as Reece started out of 6th. So Reece looking very racy. Merritt at the moment has, Merritt, Leach and Swerkett in the 3rd position. They've got a nice little race in front. We'll keep on with this battle. Go to your leaders shortly. We're only 4 minutes 12 in. But yeah, it looks like Reece is really looking to have a go here on Pete Madsen. He definitely looks like he's got the pace, and you can see that that's dragging the drivers up in behind him as well to make this a 3, possibly 4 or 5 car battle in the next lap or 2 if he can't get this job done. So Reece is really going to want to try and make this move as quick as he can. So we'll see whether he can get a good run onto the back straight. So this is a good opportunity if he can get his car positioned on the right side of the track. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Stuart Ellis will keep his eyes completely open here and get ready to pounce on any opportunity that he has. They'll make their way up over the hill into the left and right. Pete Madsen last time backed out of this one, and he's going to do the same thing. And
Ellis
just gets that stop, and Pete Madsen's now going to be dropping a handful of spots as the marauding hordes, as they say, are coming behind him and really trying to make a move. But Reece Gosner up into 6th, Ellis into 7th, and now that has brought Stevie Brooks up into the 8th position, and we'll put Pete Matson back down into the 9th position. And Nick Fodiatis, the man who was hot under the collar earlier, up into 10th. But this is the battle for the lead. You've got Aidan Schwerkett there, up in the 3rd position. In front of him is Johnny Merritt and Guy Leach. Right in behind them is the winner of race number 1. So from 10th on the grid up into 4th already, just after 5.5 minutes, Braden Sagasa. So watch out for that 1-9 car as this race goes on. Of course, Daniel, we do have a pit stop as well in this one, I believe. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we had one last week or if they got to get to the end. I'm not sure, so we'll just keep an eye on that as the race unfolds. But this is getting spicy at the front. Schwerkett's looking really racy in behind John Merritt. He's going to have one eye in the mirror of your race 1 winner, Braden Sagasa. So we'll look at the last time round. Braden Sagasa has done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.34, 1:40.234, and the other guys were pretty much, you can say, 1:41 flat. So 0.8 of a second quicker last lap around from Braden Sagasa. So he's looking really, really racy, and don't be surprised if we see him make his way forward. But as I have mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Daniel, we've seen that it's a very, very hard place to pass in this car if you position your car correctly. So Braden's going to have a lot of racecraft here to make his way forward, and we'll see how that happens. But these guys have sort of stretched their legs at the moment over Johnny Baldwin, as you can physically see there in the background. That's what 3 seconds looks like, and we couldn't even see the car behind. So it's a race of 4 at the front at the moment, mate. Lap 5, 6 or 7 minutes into this 25-minute feature race.
Yeah, it's a fantastic battle at the front here. Guy Leach, 7 positions gained from the start of this race. Merritt and Schweikart with 1 each, and of course Sagasa with 6 at the moment. It's a really rough one for Reece Gosner, who did all of that work and is still 1 position down on the start of this race, currently P7, chasing down Stuart Ellis in P6. Guy Leach has actually done a really good job here at the front, as we just got a race control message. Rear of grid next race. That is Mitch McIntyre, car 77, for contact on the yellow with Ben Woods on lap 1. So that's a heavy penalty, but needs to be dealt on the next race. So
well, that'll be for round number 5, Daniel, and I think that's still some of the fallout from that race 1, lap 1 incident. Of course, as Guy Leach gets really loose there on the exit, and that's going to allow John Merritt a really good run down the back straight. But I think that's still a fallout from that. They were under the safety car conditions, and there might have been a bit of contact there. So unfortunately, Mitch McIntyre, rear of field regardless of where he qualifies next week for round number 5. But we've still got round number 4, and we've had a change for the lead. John Merritt gets the job done over Guy Leach, and looks like Braden Sagas is having a little bit of a nibble here at Aidan Schweikart, and he couldn't get the job done. But we've had a change for the lead, and John Merritt gets up to the front of the race, mate.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a very, very, very high-octane game of hot potato with that first position slot, because you get so much of a tow down this section of the track as we move on to turn 1. So Guy Leach trying to go around the outside. He's got to be careful, though. Schweikart's going to look on the inside, just as Sagas had tried to do to him a couple corners before. It looks like it might even work. The only problem is he's on the wrong side of the track for the next section of corners. So unfortunately, Guy Leach will go right back past. But Sagas up, you've got to keep an eye on him. And the reason is because he's incredibly fast at the moment in comparison to the other cars in this pack. But he's also not taking crazy risky moves. So he's showing his nose in some of them, but not fully committing, knowing that they've still got 15 minutes to go in the race, 16 if you want to be more specific. But he's being very sensible with this. Now, in terms of the pit stops, I think he can fuel save enough in these cars to go to the end. But considering the lap times that I'm seeing, I don't think they're doing that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. He's showing a very mature head here. We saw that for round number 3. He's not making a silly move. This will be helping him fuel-wise as well. I'm still not sure whether they will need to stop, though. I think they will. But this will help him fuel-wise as well. I wouldn't say they'd take tyres, but we've almost full battle at the front again. Merritt just positions his car. We've got the switchback, and he's going to want to try to do that again, or position his car in the right. He's going to go around the outside, and then we're going to have a change for the lead again. And Guy Leach has gone to the front Good move there by Guy. So Guy's gone back to the front. Merritt and Schwerkert still in, well, Schwerkert and Sagas are still sitting there in third and fourth. Aiden covering off Braden Sagas are wanting to have a look into turn number 1. Is he going to do that? No, he's just going to err on the side of caution again. Sagas are trying to go around the outside. This is going to make him vulnerable to Braden on the exit, but Braden's on the wrong side of the road now. So what we saw with Sagas, with Schwerkert, as he nearly goes into the grass. So that was just a reverse of the two from the lap before. Not those two, sorry. I think it was Guy Leach who was side by side with. But change for the lead, and don't be surprised. Still 15 minutes to go, mate. I'm getting excited. We're probably going to see that a couple more times here.
Yeah, it will. It's all to do with how fast these cars are in the draft. And again, Schweikart just braking a little too late into the zone, getting that lock up, having to go a little wide. Sagas looked to try and go on the inside, see if he could maintain the speed. It didn't end up working for him. And as you said, he drove a little wide. He went a little wide coming out on the exit into turn 2. So he's lucky to not have gone into the grass too much. That'll keep him in the fight. There's a slight gap between Schweikart and Merritt that there isn't at the front. You've got about a 2/10 gap at the front there, a 4/10 gap in between. So it's like two little tiny bubbles. And Sagas, it's weird. I don't know if he's doing it for fuel purposes or if he's just being very sensible, but he just doesn't make the attack. You're going to watch him come in here, stay nice and behind, and then he'll try and tuck in, coming into the last section of corner. So we're going to go down into the right hand. So a double right-hander here. And again, Sagas is just going to sit there, nice and close. And then, Schweikart gets a little wide. So that's going to be a problem. So Sagas might attack here because he'll have a better exit speed as they move down towards turn 1. The issue is going to be he can't forget about that brake marker. So, as Merritt gets caught up in this as well.
Oh, what racing here by the boys at the front. Sagasar, I think he's just playing the championship game at the moment. He's playing it smart. It can all come unstuck very quickly if he just makes the wrong decision at the wrong time, as he just poked his nose into the mirror there of Aiden to try and unsettle him. And we're going to keep going, and it's still the same positions, 1, 2, 3 and 4, Leach, Merritt, Schwerkert and Sagasar. So, this is a great battle at the front. I'm not sure what Braden's doing at the moment. Like obviously I said, he's probably thinking championship. He's just sitting there. He's obviously got the car pace. These guys aren't going to let him have it easy at all. I've raced against Aiden a bit, and he's definitely not going to let him have it. So we'll see what happens when they come through the pit stops. As he gets really loose under braking there from the rear, Braden does. But that gap is slowly creeping out at the front now between your leaders of Leach and Merritt. It's gone out to 0.3 of a second. So this time last lap it was 0.2. Now it's gone out to 0.3. So that's Aiden driving his mirrors and not looking what's in front of him, I'd suggest. So we'll see. I reckon if Sagasel wants to have a go at this one as Aiden closes up under brakes, so that's gone now to 0.2. So I think if Braden wants to have a go at this one, he'll want to get a move done shortly, but is he going to be smarter through pit lane? Has he saved the fuel? But looking at the times, they're all doing similar times at the moment, and they are running away with this one. They've got 4 seconds on Joe Baldwin, who's in the 5th position, so he's having a bit of a lonely race at the moment. His 2 seconds the better, as Aiden's really, really playing the defensive game there over Braden. But we're already 13 minutes, 14 minutes, so only 11 minutes to go, already over half race distance. While we just watch this battle at the front, we will bring you your favourite drivers and go through the field very shortly. So we're just not all over the front drivers, but we can't take our eyes off this little battle. We'll just take the opportunity to bring up the sponsors that make this all happen on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. We hope you're enjoying the Downforce legends here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club on your Wednesday night, but we'll bring up the sponsors as we just keep and have a look at this battle at the front. So I don't know if we can roll them across there, Daniel, or we'll just go at the top. We'll just roll with the top. So you can see at the top there, Lobesy Racing, big sponsor. He sponsors the up-and-comers, I believe, too. So a big thank you to him. Login Systems, of course, a sponsor of the GSRC. They've been a sponsor for quite a while now. Player One Sim Gear. If you're looking for any sim gear, Player One Sim Gear is where to go. M-Wave, of course, Flash Graphics. Waste Options, one of the camera sponsors here as well. As Braden's tried to make the move there around the outside of Aiden, he couldn't quite get it done. And yeah, he wants to get this done, mate. He's not happy sitting in behind Aiden, and I think he can feel the wind slowly getting away from him the longer he sits in behind him.
Yeah, that's it's one of these things where as the time dwindles down, you get more and more desperate. So 10 minutes on the clock now for these guys. And what's hilarious is just how much of a gap they've split to P5. So Stuart Ellis is 5 seconds back, and that's all comes down to the draft that each of these guys are giving each other. And so the more that they sort of fight like this, as long as they're within contention, within that 1 second mark, they're going to get that draft bonus, which Stuart will not. And so, yeah, it's just a massive gap between the top four here and the rest of the field. Now, Guy Leach has actually been in the lead of this race for a couple of laps now, and I'm curious if that's because John Merritt is just biding his time and he's doing what Sagasa might be doing, which is there's no real reason to try and fight for the front and then have to do all the heavy lifting for the guys behind when you've still got 10 minutes left in the race. So I wonder if, yeah, he's just making just a bit more defensive there. He's got a larger gap between himself and Schweikart at the back, in P3. So he's not really under threat, and Schweikart's actually, a lot of his corner entry and exits are very, very aggressive, and he's losing a lot of traction, which is what's allowing Sagasa to close up that gap in some of them. So I'm curious if, actually it does look like he might try and attack here, Guy Leach on the inside. Wow, John, he gets it done. That is a great move for the lead.
Return serve. John Merritt around the outside of Guy Leach did exactly what Guy did to him just a couple of laps earlier. So return serve, there you go. 40 all, play on, let's go. Merritt, Leach, Schwerkert and Sagas are still your four. We'll just quickly have a look at some other of the big movers. Adam Ticey, you heard him in the broadcast booth, I believe, last night, he might have been. He is up into the 14th position. He's having a battle now with, who's that? Phil Butler, as they go side by side. So he's now up in the 13th position. He's the biggest mover here in the feature race. 7 positions out of starting 20th. So knowing Ticey, he'll be happy with that one. Nice clean one so far. And up into the 13th position. Obviously, the big movers at the front, we've got Schwerkert up 7, I believe. No, up 2 positions. Leach and Sagas are 5 and 6, and Stuart Ellis 4. I'm just keeping one eye on Stuart Ellis at the moment. Oh no, last lap around, he had a bit of an incident. I was just watching his lap times, and he was about 0.6 of a second the lap prior quicker than this front quad, as you'd call them, 4 cars, and he's actually just lost 2.5 seconds. So pretty much it's just between these 4 cars. So warning for car 7. So the current P3 in this race, Aiden Schwerkert Racing Room with car 016, Braden Sagasa on lap 11. So he's had a warning for racing too quick, and he's gone up into second now, actually. Sorry, I missed that one. Well, he must have got that done while we're on board with Adam Tice. So Schwerkert up into the second position, and he's had a little bit of a warning now. So we'll see whether that affects the way he races the end of this one. And Sagas has got a great one down the main straight, and he's going to be in a good position to make a move into P3 and finally get into P3 over Guy Leach. We'll see and just watch that down into turn number 1. Guy Leach will go deep under brakes. No, he just opens up the steering wheel and says, you can have that one, Braden, and we'll fight this out.
They come together!
No! As I said, he was going to wait and fight this out later. Your winner for race number 1 is sent around backwards, and Joe Baldwin's gone past, and he's got a long way to go in a very short period of time to try and recoup that. We'll go back and have a look at the replay. Gets the job done, comes out on an exit, and there's going to be a little bit of explaining to do there from Mr. Guy Leach, I'd suggest. We're impartial here, but that was very unfortunate for the guys at the front, and that's allowed now John Merritt and Aiden Schwerkert to really bolt off with this one with only 6 minutes to go, or 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one for race control. It does, on first glance, it does look like Leach just drove into the back of Sagasa there, but Sagasa did put his rear right tyre into the grass, which is what caused him to slow up. So Guy Leach would have been looking to get a full exit speed, which wasn't possible, and then that little twerk from the back of the Radical of Sagasa is what caused Leach to go into the back of him. So that's an unfortunate one for both of them. Sagasa down into P4 and Leach down into P7. See, and that's what I thought. Racing incident, that has been given as a racing incident by race control. And I suspect that it's for the reason that I gave, which is that Sagasa came out of the corner, put his tyre in the grass, lost that traction, slowed up more than Leach was expecting, and that was what caused Leach to go into the back of him. So no penalty will be given to any of those, but Leach is the one that loses out the most as he goes down into P7. Still one position gain from where he started this race, but now he is outside of that front pack fight, and it has now really turned into a two-car race. It is Schweikart in the lead, getting chased down by John Merritt. We have, let's see, that'll be 4 minutes to go once we hit that 21-minute mark. And then it'll be absolutely on between these two. Nobody has pit at the front part of the pack. So, yeah, it looks like they will be able to go absolutely full speed to the end.
Yeah, 100%, and very observant there of you of that incident, mate. Well done, that was great. I totally missed that, even though I'm watching it, but I missed that one, so very observant. And while we were talking about that, we did see the 7 of Schwerkert get the lead of the race, so he was looking racy early, and we thought that possibly he was overdriving it a little bit too hard into the corners, but he's definitely got the pace, and he's got the job done on John Merritt. Does John have anything for Schwerkert at the back end of this one? Sagas is already back up into the 4th position, chasing down Stuart Ellis, so we might have a chance to chat to him on the podium yet, but this is where the race is at the moment, and it is Schwerkert and Merritt leading the way. There will be, I would suggest, we're at 22 minutes 25, so there'll be 2 laps to go this time across the strike. Does Schwerkert have enough to hold on to Merritt? Does Merritt have anything for Schwerkert in the back end of this one? We're about to find out. 2 laps to go here for round number 4 of the Downforce Legends, the Radicals, on your streams of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying all the action, whether you're tuning in across the platform of Facebook or YouTube. Feel free to jump in and communicate with us. Unfortunately, I'm not really looking at that at the moment, so I'm not going to be able to see that, as Guy Leach is having a battle there, and that's between himself and Reese Gosner. Tell you what, Reese has been a part of everything tonight, and he's finally got up a couple of positions. He's still down 1 position. So with what has been a great drive here for feature race, Reese Gosner still in 7th, and this is between Richard Mayer there in the background. That was a bit of an incident as well. But Guy Leach up 2 positions. He's got Joe Baldwin in front of him. Sagasa and Ellis in the front as well. So there'll be 1 more to go, I'd suggest, next time across the start-finish line. So this battle we're watching here between Leach and Baldwin is not over. They got 1 lap to sort that out as we tick down to 2 minutes to go now. Lap time 1 minute 40. We might get another one in. I don't think so, but we might. No, they're only going down the back straight now. So no, it will be white flag next time around. So back to your leaders. Schwerkert still holding the ascendancy over John Merritt. I'm interested to see what's going to happen here in the last lap, whether John's going to have a look. I'm sure he's not going to die wondering. He's all over the mirrors of Aiden. We'll see whether he outfoxes him as they make their way down through the change of direction there, and they'll come across the line. I'm sure we'll see Barney wave the white flag this time around, and he does, and we're going white flag here for round number 4. It's between Schwerkert and Merritt to decide who's going to take the spoils here for race number 2 and bag a big chunk of points for round 4 and take it into round 5. It's always better, as we say, get the points now as opposed to the points in the future. So there is a big jump on the points between first and second. So it'd be very beneficial if whoever gets the benefit of this one for their championship credentials. But it's still Schwerkert leading the way. There's only about 2 opportunities left for John Merritt to get this done. Either into the right-hander onto the back straight or at the end of the back straight through the change of direction. We've seen where that's been most of the moves tonight, and that's where Schwerkert got the move done for the lead of the race just 2 laps ago. So we'll have a look here. Just keep an eye on this. He's all over the back of him. They'll come into that double right-hander now. He's got an opportunity to have a look, but that's going to really hinder him on the run. So he's just going to wait and try and get the run up the back straight. They're both very even off that turn. John Merritt's in the slipstream. He might be a little bit too far back here, Daniel. and Aiden might be able to hold on to this, but he's going to have a go at it. I'll suggest he'll have a look, or at least put his car in the mirrors. He's a little bit too far back, so Aiden's just got 3 more corners or 4 more corners. He puts the car in the right position, and Schwerkert, if he can make his way through this left and double right, he's going to take race number 2, round number 4, and take a bag load of points home from Virginia International Raceway. And they come across the line, and Schwerkert comes away with another win, coming off the up-and-comers last night with 3 from 3. He backs it up with a race win here in the Downforce Legends over John Merritt. Braden Sagas has made the job done and got up into the podium over Stuart Ellis with Leach and Mayer, and they all come across the line. So good racing there in that one, mate. I thought Merritt might have had a little bit of a lunge, but he's thinking championship as well, and that was great racing for the lead of the race.
Yeah, he unfortunately had a poor a poor entry coming into the top of the hill. He tried to stay as far inside as possible, which didn't give him enough speed going down the hill. So it was an unfortunate one there for Merritt, but as you said, thinking about the championship, thinking about the points, so that'll be a good points haul for him. And Sagas pipping Stuart Ellis at the end there by 0.09, so he'll come across in P3. So P1 and P3 for Sagas, great points on offer. It's Tony Baker showing us an excellent smoke show. We've still got a couple of cars that are yet to come across the line, but we'll show up the results. Oh no, it won't. They won't tick over until the last car passes the line, so we'll just have to wait for those guys to make their way across.
We'll wait for that, and if anyone's, sorry to cut you off there, Daniel, if anyone's watching the broadcast, any of the drivers, I can only see Aiden in the Discord to be able to come up and have a little bit of a chat to us. We've just finished round number 4. Here are your results. Oh, that's the warm-up results. We'll go across to your other results very shortly. Here we go. The sprint feature race here for round number 4 of the Downforce Legends from VIR, Virginia International Raceway. It was Aiden Schwerkert in the first position. Merritt and Sagasser in P3. Stuart Ellis and Guy Leach rounded out your 5. In the 6th position was Richard Mayer. 7th, Reese Gosner. 8th, John Baldwin. And Paul Wood out of 9th. Nick Fodiatis in 10th. Tony Baker in 11th. And Pete Matto Matson, after starting the pole in the feature, came home with a nice credible 12th. Adam Tyson 13th. Phil Butler in 14th. Phil King in 15th. Stephen Brooks in 16th. Kevin Henderson will come home in 17th. Mitch McIntyre with a night that he'd like to forget, I'd suggest, in 18th. Sean Rees, unlucky one for him too, always very quick behind the wheel, in 19th. And Ben Woodsy Woods, unlucky for Ben, home in the 20th position. So that's your place getters here for round number 4. And we'll go across. We've got a couple of them jump up with us now. Of course, keep tuned in here on the streams of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, guys. That was the Downforce Legends, but we are going to go across to Imola very shortly after we have a chat to these guys and bring you the GT4s for what's going to be a 40-minute race. But before we do that, and we'll have a quick interval in between, Braden Sagas, mate, thanks for joining us in the booth. Quick last week, mate. You unlucky there in the feature, but definitely had a lot of pace, mate. Great drive to get back onto the back end of the podium.
Yeah, thanks, Aiden. Yeah, it was a hell of a battle in that second race. It's so hard to overtake in these cars, and you can't pull away from anyone either. As soon as you get to the front, that slipstream is immense, absolutely immense.
Yeah, we were talking about that through the broadcast, and Daniel and I thought that that was the case. There was only probably, I'd say, 2 possible decent places without wanting to absolutely create carnage to make a proper move if you had the run. Would that be sort of the right? We saw that there was a lot of moves at the end of the back straight around the outside of the change of direction, and we saw 3 or 4 moves to the lead of the race, and that's where Aiden got the job done there as well. So we saw that was a pretty good passing opportunity. Would that be a right summary of what I saw tonight?
Yeah, spot on, Aiden. It was just, yeah, that end of the back straight, you have to trust the other guy 100%, because if they lock up, you're going into the weeds and you know, going for a scenic route.
Well, as we can see, you just going on a scenic route there, and the broadcast coming onto the main straight. So that was very good timing there, mate, and good lead in there for me. Thank you for that. Even though you don't want to see that on the broadcast, but anyway, mate, coming off a good round last week, we spoke to you in the broadcast. Probably what could have been in race number 2. Of course, it was a 4-way fight at the front, but you've got to be happy with that. A big bag of points going to round number 5. You've been quick in this car. How are you feeling? Same status quo for round number 5, you think?
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely adore these cars. I used to race them all the time before the SR10 came out, and these compared to the SR10, it's amazing. These cars, you have to be on the absolute ragged edge to get every millimeter out of it, and if you overstep that mark, see you later.
Well, mate, it's good to see you back up in the podium and back up in the broadcast booth. We will have to cut it short, though, because we've got to have a little bit of an interim before we bring the GT4s from Imola, and Daniel and I will like to keep our voice boxes ready for that one. Are you doing GT4s? I know you don't mind a bit of GT racing, mate.
Probably not, but keep a keen eye out for Jake Jackson. He'll be in there tonight.
Yeah, Jake's always quick, so we'll keep an eye out for the purple MX Wraps 19 car. But mate, I've just did a segue for you. Quick shout out to all the sponsors and everyone that's made it possible.
Yeah, 100%. It's obviously our main sponsor, MX Wraps. They've been with us for a while, and it's good to have them on board once again. Yeah, it's just good to keep a consistent run going and keep the purple 19 car out of the wall, and also the 19 guys as well. Without Chris, this team would be nowhere. So shout out to Chris Bleakley and all the boys that joined the team and stayed with us.
Well said, mate. Once again, from us in the broadcast booth and everyone from the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, a big congratulations on your P3 tonight. Look forward to hopefully seeing you in the broadcast booth at round number 5.
Cheers, and congrats Aiden on the win.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen, your third place getter, Braden Sagasar. That leads us across to the man he just mentioned, Aiden Schwerkett. Aiden, mate, 3 wins last night and a win in the feature race tonight. Is there anything you can't do?
Thanks, Aiden. It was very tough trying to keep getting past all of them. Even keeping Braden behind, it was so tough, but it was a lot of fun. And I just got a little bit lucky with those two coming together close to the end there.
Well, mate, you definitely had the pace. Daniel and I were mentioning you were driving very hard into the corner, losing a little bit sort of through the mid-race in particular sections of the track and not allowing yourself to sort of have a run on the guys in front. They extended their legs to about 3/10, but it looked like you changed that driving style later on in the race and got the job up the front. Obviously, real-life go-karting experience. You like the downforce and the twitchiness, mate, and you come off, like I said, 3 wins in a row in the up-and-comers, which I'm devastated about, just quietly. But 3 wins in the up-and-comers last night in the F4s, so definitely love a high downforce car, mate.
Yeah, they're always my favourite. I love when it actually turns in and it doesn't understeer. I always love those cars. A little bit of twitchiness doesn't hurt either.
Well, mate, we saw Sean Rees, your teammate. He was up there in behind you early in race 1 as well. Unfortunate race 2 for him. I did ask Braden actually in his interview. Round number 5, mate, how are you feeling for that one? You've been quick there and thereabouts, a little bit of unluckiness at Long Beach and different issues which you get, and we saw a big incident tonight in race 1 which luckily you avoided or weren't a part of. How are you feeling going into round 5, mate? Cut the front again, you think?
Well, I'd have to hope so. I haven't been the most consistent in these cars yet. I'm still just hanging back a bit, making sure I don't spin throughout these races, so I can't get the full potential, but I hope to be up there again, and I think hopefully I can keep the momentum up.
Well, no doubt you will, mate. You've shown a lot of pace, and hopefully next Tuesday night I can keep you a bit honest there, and we can try and reheat that championship battle. But it's all about the Radicals at the moment, and that's a good bag of points for round number 4, and no doubt we'll be seeing it is a pointy end for round number 5. But we're going to have to cut it short there, mate, because we do need a little bit of an intermission here before we bring the GT4s from Imola. But quickly, a shout out to everyone that makes it possible, mate.
Yeah, the Sharp team has really helped me out. just getting my head around the iRacing stuff, and my personal sponsors are Jeremy Cross, Lynch Airways, and GML Motor Repairs and Performance in real life.
No worries, mate. Again, from us in the broadcast booth and everyone on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams and the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club in general, big congratulations on your P1 tonight, mate. We look forward to possibly speaking to you next week.
Yep, same here.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, your winner for race number 2, the feature race, round number 4 of the Downforce Legends here from VIR, none other than Aidan Schwerkert. But Daniel, mate, we're about to bring GT4s, and what a race that was. If that's anything that we've got to see to come for the GT4s, I can't wait around Imola. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll go on a quick intermission here. I hope you enjoyed round number 4 of the Downforce Legends. Again, it was Aidan Schwerkert, John Merritt and Braden Sagasa, your top 3 for the feature race. We'll go for our little intermission. We'll be back with you very shortly to bring you the GT4s from Imola here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams. We've had a nice little intermission after what was a sensational round number 4 in the Downforce Legends around VIR, Virginia International Raceway. But we are at Imola. I hate pronouncing the top part of it, so I'm not even going to attempt it. You all know what I'm like at pronouncing, so we're not going to do that one. We're in Italy, Imola, a MotoGP circuit, and also race cars, but we're here for the GT4s for round number 4, and of course still in the booth with me, Mr. Daniel Starr. Good evening again, Daniel. Nice little break. We come in to now GT4 racing around Imola. If it's anything to go by what we saw in the Downforce Legends, we're excited for this one. Here's your championship points and its status quo from what we saw in the Downforce Legends. Have a look at how close it is at the top. Sam Muir, 1-9 MX Raps Racing. This is becoming a familiar side at the top. 1-9, 129 points. Mikey Hammond in second with 127. Geordie Malcolm in third with a 1-9, 1 and 3, 124. Dale Sharp with 123. Gary Cousins 122, and Jake Jackson another 1-9 in the sixth with 121 points. So only 7 points covering your top 6 in the championship, Daniel. But we've got 40 minutes of racing to bring you tonight, guys. They are just about through their qualifying session, very, very close to, and we'll be bringing up the grid for you, ready for 40 minutes of action. But Daniel, here's the track information. So full configuration, again, 4.86 kilometres in length. We are in Italy with the track temperature of 17 degrees Celsius. City is Imola at an altitude of 42 metres, 17 degrees Fahrenheit. 29% chance of no rain tonight because iRacing isn't smart enough, as we've spoken about. It's cloudy, and I can't quite read what the wind is, but there's a bit of wind out there tonight, 14 kilometres an hour, sorry. So, mate, Imola, looking forward to this one. We saw round 4 of the Downforce Legends. We turn our attention to the GT4 Challenge, brought to you by Orbic Australia, and looking forward to this one, mate. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it should be a really good race. We've got 20 people on the grid for this one. And they've just finished their qualifying, so there'll just be a couple of cars wrapping up coming into the pits, and then we'll be able to show you the grid for the 40-minute race ahead of us. But yes, should be a great race. Imola, always a fantastic circuit no matter what you bring here. The GT4s with their slower speeds should, combined with the track layout of Imola, should present some really, really good racing, especially in places like the Acqua Minerale section, and coming into the final corners as well. You'll be seeing a lot of people trying to dive under brakes coming into the first left-hander at the bottom of the circuit. So it should be a great one, and with 40 minutes, of course, that means there's going to be a lot of pit strategy. So we'll see just how that all pans out. If I had to guess, I would say that Matthew Dench is most likely going to do Dench things and do a lot of fuel saving, but he hasn't really had the run of success in GT4s that we've seen him have in other series such as the Porsche Cup. So we'll see if Sam Muir and Jake Jackson have anything to say about that. Usually Jordan Malcolm would be here fighting it up at the front, but he did tell us last week that he wouldn't be attending. So it'll be on Sam Muir and Jake Jackson to try and bring good points in for the 1-9 guys.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm just looking through. We will bring up the grid shortly when everyone does get themselves connected and on the grid. We do have a roll-up lap, so we've got plenty of time to bring all that to you viewers, so just bear with us and we'll show you that. But just having a look, I can see the times. I'm not going to be a spoiler alert, and I don't see him in the server. I can only see Jake Jackson in the server tonight.
My mistake.
Yeah, and I've been wrong before, and I can be wrong again, but I can't see him in the server, so we'll see what happens when we bring up the grid. Denchi's there, as we said, but here is the grid, ladies and gentlemen, for Orbic Australia GT4 Challenge here on the streams of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. Round number 4, Imola, for a 40-minute race. It will be Trent Lavers off the pole. Lobesy Racing, big sponsor of the series. You'll be happy with that one. Over the man, the Denchi, Matthew Dench. I know we say a lot, but he is a great driver. Good evening to you, Dave. Go well, Matt Dench. Good luck for the GT4 tonight. Good evening, Dave. Thanks for tuning in. Keep putting those comments in as you young fellas out of P2. Jared Knight out of P3, and Jake Jackson will be out of P4. Out of P5 tonight will be John Merritt. Out of P6 will be Richard King. 7th position will be Dale Sharp, and Jeff Adams will be out of the 8th position. Nick Photiitis, he was in everything in the previous races we broadcast in the Downforce Legends. He's had a solid result in qualifying in 9th position, and Adam Lavers in the 10th position there. Adam very quick, he'll be wanting to make his way forward. In 11th tonight will be Russ Green with Joe Baldwin out of 12th. 13th position will be Grant Gill and Kurt Chapman out of the 14th position. Benjamin Doughton, I haven't seen his name before, Daniel, so this will be interesting to see how he goes out of the 15th position. And Phil Butler, my teammate, in the 16th position, coming off a solid GT3 race a couple of weeks ago around, where were we? Around what? I can't even remember where we were. Anyway, moving on. Craig Tiberti in 17th and Paul Wood in 18th. Parry Anastakis out of 19th, and Pete Matto Matson will start out of the 20th position tonight. So looking forward to this one. It will be a rolling start. As you can see, them all getting ready there. 40 minutes, we're going to see strategy. Generally, we do see Matthew Dench as the main man with strategy. It's also going to be a battle of manufacturers, so definitely going to have to keep an eye on that as well. Aston Martin off the pole position. So interesting there with the Aston off pole. Generally, we see the Ferrari pretty quick. But yeah, interesting to see this one, mate. It's only going to be a short roll-up lap, as there's only 2 corners until they go green. But we're about to go pole. Trent Laver's pole, back into the car, and he's going to have Denchi all over the back of him. So a big shout-out, of course, to our sponsors, Login Systems, Player One Sim Gear, Orbic, Flash Graphics, M-Wave, Waste Options, and Lobesy Racing, everyone involved on the Gentleman Sim Racing streams. We can't wait for this one. So we have Aston Martin, we have Ferrari, we have Mercedes, we have, is there McLaren there? No,
Yep,
not sure yet.
that's a McLaren.
McLaren there. So yeah, all different manufacturers at the front of this one. We're about to go green. We're in the hands of Trent Lavers. As they come around this corner on the straight, you'll see him back them up, I'd say, and we're going to go green, but we're about to find out. So we'll just wait for them to make their way around the corner, and we are green flag racing, and Trent Lavers jumps early and gets the jump over the rest of the field as we watch them all stream down into turn number 1. 40 minutes tonight, mate. I'm not going to get too excited too early, but a great jump there by Trent Lavers over Matthew Dench, Jared Knight, Jake Jackson, and John Merritt up into the 5th position. So they're all status quo, gentlemen-like, in the first couple of corners of this one.
Yeah, it's a drastic difference to the Downforce Legends that we saw in the first race. A couple of cars flipped over, but in this one, everybody is nice and gentlemanly. Single file as they make their way around for the first lap here at Imola. Sam Chapman letting us know he's enjoying it from the sidelines tonight. Huge battle of manufacturers. Porsche and Merc should be good around here. They should actually. Well, it's not fair because the Porsche is usually good everywhere, but in any case, we'll see how it develops. Trent Lavers in the lead of this race. His brother, P9 at the moment, chasing down Dale Sharp and the BMW. And again, very incident-free on this first lap. I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, it is good, mate. A longer race, though, so totally different mindset for the drivers coming into this one. So that's different to what we saw in the Radicals. And a big shout-out to you, Chapo. Good evening to you, mate. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast, mate, all the action here on Racing Club. Josh Junior, someone give me some wood to touch, no incidents. Well, now you've said it. He said it, mate. He said it. There might be something, but John Merritt in the 5th position. So they've all settled down. Different manufacturers at the front. John in the Pulse Tuning McLaren. We've seen the McLaren having some decent results in both the GT3s and the GT4s lately. So the McLaren pretty quick. And McLaren, Matty Dench is in the McLaren as well. So Matt can drive anything. But we've gone lap 1, minute and a half. Trent Lavers still leads the way over Dench, Knight, Jackson and Merritt. No big movers or shakers at the moment early in this one. They're all just settling down, mate. So it's what we expected to see here in the GT4s. Of course, as you segued into earlier on when we were doing the intro, lower than the GT3s. It's going to create a lot closer racing, I'd suggest, and possibly, and I've been wrong on strategy before, possibly a little bit more emphasis on strategy to be able to maybe get that break. But we've got what, 37 minutes now to try and figure that one out. But Trent looking very, very racy tonight.
Yep, he's leading the pack well and truly. Matthew Dench is right there with him. So is Jared Knight on the back of that McLaren as well. So there's a 1, 2, 3 pack at the front. We've got almost a 1.5 second gap to John Merritt in P4, but I'm sure that'll close as the race progresses. There's a couple of battles happening in the back end of the field. Kurt Chapman chasing down Russ Green there in P12. And it looks like the newcomer Benjamin Doughton is chasing down Pete Matson in P17. But we're watching the one at the front here. Trent Leaves leading the race. Matthew Dench close behind. We're only 3 minutes in, so there is plenty of race to go. No drastic moves should be made. It's not worth the risk, and we've still got pit stops ahead of us. So my expectation, again, as I said earlier on, is that Matthew Dench will most likely pull in the fuel stops, the fuel saving rather, and then he'll go maybe a lap or two extra than his competitors, and then try and keep that overhead. I thought Jake Jackson was about to come into the pits, but no, he was just moving over to the side, so it looks like he had a poor exit out of that one, and he moves down into P7.
Well, you mentioned Jake Jackson. I saw as they were making their way up the hill or out of the hairpin last time around, he was actually pulled well over to the left-hand side of the track, letting people go. So I believe through the left and right change of direction before the hairpin, he may have got a slowdown there, because he's down 3 positions from his starting position and now down into the 7th. So he started out of 4th and now down into 7th. So 1-9 coming off a good run. And they're high up in the championship. 3 of their drivers inside the top 6 that you saw at the beginning of the broadcast. He's got a little bit of a battle on his hands now and trying to make his way back. You can see him just coming out of the corner there in the background in that purple car. So he's got a little bit of a fight on his hands to make his way back, as the top 3 are sort of spreading their wings a little bit at the moment at the front and getting a little bit of a gap on John Merritt. And that would be to the sound of 2 seconds. And it is the Aston Martin and the McLaren and the Mercedes leading the way. But we're 5 minutes in, 35 minutes to go. When they're going to pit's going to be interesting. Of course, you're going to want to be in that draft to save the fuel. But if you're one of these players sort of in the mid-pack, are you wanting to blink early and trying, as soon as you get in that pit window, try and get out of the chaos? And because sometimes if you're quicker, it's okay to be quicker than a car, but to be able to get the pass done is a different thing. So sometimes being by yourself on track can help with the back end of the race. So different strategies to play out. We're about to find out, but it still is status quo. We're about to go lap 4 and turn over lap 4. Labors, Dench and Knight extending their legs over the front, John Merritt. It looks like he's just taken a little bit out of them as well. But GT4 racing around Imola, mate, we'll settle in. Tell me a little bit about your experiences in GT4s, mate. Have you done much racing in them? Do you like them? Yeah. What have you done in the GT4 landscape?
I did my first season here in the GSRC. I ran the GT4s. I've driven GT4s in officials and things like that. I'd say a decent amount. The thing about the GT4 is the momentum is key. Anytime you're driving with a slower class car, the issue really becomes your corner entry and exit speeds, but more so than anything else, because if you don't get those down, you're in a massive detriment on the straights. And one of the things that you're seeing here is that Trent Leaves, Matthew Dench, and Jared Knight, they're being very smart in the fact that they're not actually fighting each other. They're following each other. And so what that allows them to do is focus on their corner exits, make sure that they're hitting their brake markers, their apexes, things like that, making sure that they're getting the best entry and exit. And then, because they're within that gap and they're not fighting, they're using the draft benefit over the main straight. They call it a straight. There's a kink there, but anyway. So the main straight. And they're allowing each other, they're basically giving each other a bit of a boost. Whereas John Merritt is outside that draft range. So he's not going to be able to close that gap anywhere near significantly until the pit stops arise. Or if these front 3 decide to start fighting, because when you start fighting, right? You're no longer focusing on those entry and exits. You're focusing on the overtakes. That slows you down. That allows your competitors from back to close up the gap. And then once they close up the gap, John Merritt will have that draft back in his favour, and then you'll see a fight with 4 cars instead of 3. But the big thing right now is you keep an eye on these front 3, and it's something that we see Dench do a lot. He's not going to fight heavily. He's going to make Trent do all the hard work, punch a hole in the air for himself. Jared Knight will most likely do the same thing. And then once we start to get into that pit window, as you said, we'll start to see people blink, make first moves. And then once those pit strategies come into effect, we'll start to see the fights towards the end of the race. But right now, I feel as though just with the nature of these cars, these guys are going to sit pretty. And unfortunately for John Merritt, that means that he'll most likely be floating around the 1.5 second mark until either he just finds, I don't know, a 10th or 2 in a corner or something, or if these guys start to fight. But until then, this is going to be just a really big, long march, I suppose, an end march until we see that pit window.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 10th or 2 by John Merritt. That segued me into what I'm really enjoying, as you see now Denchi getting a really good run off that corner, but you can see he's just rolling out of it, sitting in behind Trent. But what I'm enjoying with the 3 different manufacturers at the front is seeing the strengths and weaknesses of the cars at different sections of the racetrack. So you can see that through the tight stuff, the Mercedes seems to struggle. Big, heavy car, lots of horsepower. And you see that the McLaren and the Aston are a little bit better, but you'll see the Mercedes will open its legs up now, and you'll see him probably range up onto the back of the leaders again through the first sort of, I'd say, third of the track, right up into the back of them. And then as we get through the twisty and tidy stuff, twisty and tidy, that's good. Twisty and tight stuff at the back end, he sort of loses a little bit. So you'll see through these changes of directions, he'll go pretty well, I'd suggest. And it's exactly that. See on entry how much he can gain just with the change of direction. But now we go into the tight stuff. And it's just the strengths and weaknesses. And Trent's made a mistake. And Denchi has no fuel saving now. He's got the lead. And Jared Knight's going to get the job done too by the looks of it. So Denchi's eyes have lit up there going, okay, I'm taking the lead, but what's this do for fuel saving for him if what we've spoken about with the strategy?
He's not really in too much of a threat. He can, if he wants to, just drop back and allow someone else to overtake when he can go straight back into that mode. But the issue is going to be, as I was saying before, these guys had a bit of a fight, right? So it's not a fight in the normal sense, which is they're actually attacking each other, but what happened was Trent had a small lapse, which is, Josh makes a good point there, uncharacteristic error from club sponsor. So he had a lapse there, went a little bit too deep. That allowed Matthew Dench to go through, because why wouldn't you? That's a free position. Jared Knight also has the ability there to go through, so he does. And because of all that, John Merritt's now underneath 1 second. So what does that mean? That McLaren is going to be sticking to the back of that pack, and we're going to see 4 cars battling. That's what he needed. Unfortunately for Richard King, he's 2.5 seconds down the road, and so there would need to be another situation like this. These guys would have to either fight or a mistake to happen to allow that car to come into the fold. But for now, at least John Merritt is allowed. He's got someone to play with now. He's got the front 3, and so that just adds a little another spanner in the works. So for now, Matthew Dench leading well. Again, I don't think fuel's going to be an issue in his mind. He can just drop back if he wants to, but since you've got clean air, you might as well make the most of it. What'll be interesting to see is the guys at the back end of the field having to deal with some of the traffic that they're dealing with. I'm not sure when the pit window opens.
It would be, I would suggest, just to jump in, Daniel, because that's a very good statement you made. I would suggest it's already open, right? So being a 40-minute race, there would be the fuel cap. And as soon as you get under that fuel cap to make it home, the pit lane would be open. So you can jump in at any time when you want to. So if you want to pit early or you want to pit late, we go on board with Grant Gill at the moment in the McLaren. So he's going very slow there. We'll see what... he makes a mistake there on exit. So Grant Gill cleans it up right, gets it in the right direction, loses a couple of spots, and he keeps moving forward there on the Orbic replay. So Grant Gill, he's currently in the 17th position. So he was just outside the top 10, and he's moved a little bit further down, but still on the battle of the lead. And this is a little bit status quo to what we saw in the previous race in the Downforce Legends, mate. 4 cars at the front, pretty much running off at it in the distance, but we saw how that ended up. So with 28 minutes to go, still a lot to happen, but it is Dench, Knight, Lavers and Merritt, your 4 across the line, with Richard King a further 3 seconds down the road. GT4's here at Imola. How good's this? I hope you're tuning in here on the broadcast streams of Gentleman Sim Racing Club, whether it's across Facebook and YouTube, and you're enjoying all the action that we're bringing to you here for the GT4s. Still 27 minutes to go, pit strategies to play out, and a lot to happen. So having a look at movers and shakers, there's 2 that I want to point out there, Jamie, if that's okay. Kurt Chapman, up 4 positions. So we'll go back and have a look at Kurt, and he's up 4 positions. He was in the 10th position. He started in the 14th position. He's in 10th at the moment in that beautiful red Porsche. He's got a big battle on with Nick Photiadis in the Porsche now. Nick's going to make a look up the inside into the hairpin. Can he get it done? No, he can't. So Chapman just holds on that on the outside, and Joe Baldwin just in behind that as well. So, as I mentioned, Kurt Chapman, Joe Baldwin wanting to make a move there on Nick, and he's going to get that job done there. So good job by Joe. He's now up 1 position, so started 12th, and he gets the job done. And big lock up there. There's commentator's curse right there. Kurt Chapman around in the Porsche. He's not going to be happy with that one. He was one of the biggest movers, up 4 positions, and he's just going to rejoin safely, and he's going to lose a few positions, but he's got 25 minutes to make his way as far up as he can.
That was an unfortunate one there for him, just cooking it into Aqua Minerale. And now going back to neutral, started 14th, currently 14th, so no positions gained or lost right now. Luckily for him, there's still 25 minutes left in this race. And the gaps are really starting to extend here in the middle part of the grid. Benjamin Doughton has now been able to catch up here to Kurt Chapman, so he'll be looking for a move the next couple of laps. And another person in striking range is Pete Matson in P18, who is chasing down Parry and Astakis, both in the Porsches.
Porsche's very popular, mate, in the GT4s this season. They've been not quite as popular in the GT3s, but generally a good car to drive around anywhere. But we've found too they've been, well, I don't know, from the feedback I've heard, a little bit twitchy in the rear. I'm not sure that we've seen a lot of Porsches sort of go around in the rear from having lack of control, or lack of traction. But it's got to come to expect that from a Porsche, you know, rear engine car. Definitely going to be a lot heavier around the rear, but generally a pretty good car to drive, and good to see a good bunch of them out there tonight.
It is. The only thing I'll say is the GT4, which is based on a Cayman, I believe, is not rear engine; it's front engine. So the reason why the light on the back is because they're front engine. So Porsches have a very distinct handling style, which is you have a lot of turn-in because you have no weight in the back. And what happens is as the car gets lighter on fuel, that gets worse because the fuel tank's in the back, obviously. So these guys, the Porsche is like the best all-rounder, and it's kind of like undeniable. If you think of a race car, most people imagine a race car, they're most likely going to imagine a Porsche. Whether that's GT4, GT3, Cup car, I mean, now even in IMSA, you know, in the GTP class, yep, the new LMDH cars, you know, that it's so Porsche is just sort of like that I don't want to say cookie cutter because it's wrong, but it's like the standard. That's the one that you're looking at. So Josh also just mentioned there in the chat that this is a characteristically McLaren and Aston track, which is, I mean, if you look at your board, it's pretty much proof there. Matthew Tench, McLaren, leading the race. Jared Knight's up there in a Merc, which normally lends itself to power tracks with large, long straights, which Imola has 2 of, I suppose. But no, he's doing really well up there. The next placed Mercedes would be Richard King in P5, and then, of course, Jeff Adams there in P7. And Trent Laves, of course, driving the Aston there in P3. So a good all-rounder. But, yeah, I would say... No, I'll stick with it. Oh, as we see the BMW just going off there. I'd stick with it. I'd say the Porsche is the best all-rounder GT4 of the lot.
Well, it is a staple of world motorsport, but I'm glad. I'm more excited about the fact that I just learned something there. I absolutely despise the Cayman in iRacing. I can't drive it, and now I know why, because it's front engine. Like, I'm so used to driving the Porsche rear, so there you go. And I've been involved in motorsport for a long time at different levels. You'd think I'd know that, but no, I'm a simpleton. So, yeah, they're doing a great job at the moment. But those Mercs, as you did mention, there are 3 in the top 10 at the moment, so they're doing a great job. If I was to be honest with you, as the race settles down, we're nearly halfway through, 19 minutes into 40. In the GT3s, I went to the Ferrari, but my favourite car to drive in the GT landscape, whether it be through the 4 or the 3, is actually the Mercedes. I like it. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it feels. Yeah, I like it, but each their own. As we were going nearly 3 wide there, Russ Green in front of, Russ Green in a battle with Paul Wood and Kurt Chapman. He's eating a sandwich at the moment. Halfway through, we're in the pit window. Who's going to blink early? We're about to find out in the next, I would say, 5 or 10 minutes. But at the moment, it's still Denchi at the front. We'll just keep an eye on this battle because this is the closest on the racetrack at the moment. But Denchi and Knight at the front and Lavers are really, really close. So Denchi hasn't been able to run away with this one at the moment. So it will be a good battle as we go through the pit stop cycle. But this is a good battle. Russ Green in that Merc that we spoke about. And he's up against... a Merc in front of him and Porsche behind him. So Merc on Merc, Porsche in the background. Unfortunately, Kurt Chapman there's just dropping off the back of this one. But Russ Green and Paul Wood having a good little battle there in the Mercs. So doing good so far. We've just clicked over half race distance, mate. Pit windows coming up. What do you reckon's going to happen here? I know that's... Oh, we got a warning there quickly before I get back to you, mate. Car 127 Russ Green blocking with car 916 Kurt Chapman on lap 11. And Joe Trucker Baldwin's had an issue. And there we go. There's the first blink into pit lane. And it is the man on screen, Russ Green.
So that actually rhymed. Well done there. That's good. So he's one of the first to move in. You can see a bunch of them coming in. The first one was actually Philip Butler. He came in lap 7. I'm not sure if that was scheduled or not. But in any case... So, what's interesting with the Merc here is that it's so big. Like, so of all the cars we've got in GT4 on the track right now, it'd be the McLaren would be the only one that's rear-engined or mid-engined. If we want to be specific, it's a mid-engine car. So obviously it's going to have more weight at the back. It's probably going to have a little bit better cornering. And as you mentioned earlier with the Mercedes, it's big, it's heavy, it's loud. So it's really good on the straights, not so much on the corners. The only thing is the balance of power. We use, I believe the GSRC uses its own balance of power in the series. I'll just double check and confirm that. I believe... Yes, they do. Okay.
Well, you just confirm that, mate. Sorry to jump in. Just for anyone tuning in the broadcast, balance of power, the acronym for that is BOP, and what we mean by that is obviously they're different manufacturers with different ways they put their different horsepower and different way they put their power to the ground. So, for example, when we go into endurances, there might be different applications of power that you're allowed to do, where they control the engines and how they do that to even the cars. So that's what bot means per se. So if you didn't know that in the GT4 or GT3 landscape, that's what it means. So they bring the cars back to make them even. Sorry to jump in there, Daniel. Keep going, mate, but I just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, that's okay. So the Mercedes has the hardest hit in terms of weight penalty. It has a 15 kilogram ballast, as it were, attached to it, and it also has a 1% horsepower deficiency. The highest horsepower deficiency would be McLaren, because it's got a 5 kilogram ballast, and it's down by 1.5% in terms of its power. So the Mercedes dealing with extra weight there, just to balance out the speed that it gets down on the straights. But in the hands of Jared Knight, it's right up there. It has the gap is extending, so Matthew Dench is really putting the foot down. If you have a look at the last lap time, 149.8 there from the McLaren driver, 150.09 from Jared Knight in the Mercedes. So Dench is really starting to egg this out. I don't know when they'll decide to come into the pits. I would assume it'll be as late as possible. We've seen about 5 or 6 people come into the pits so far. But if you're at the front, you don't really have a lot of traffic to contend with, so I don't think a pit stop at this stage is beneficial. I think you're better off to just either follow them and then consider maybe an undercut once we get to that critical stage, or just follow the leader. But considering the pace difference right now, 149.8 for Matthew Dench and a 150.08 for Jared Knight. So Dench is just flying away with this right now. So maybe they should consider an undercut.
Yeah, well, Dench is in a different position that we've seen him in the last couple of weeks. He's leading the motor race. Of course, he's had some really good results, and he's always there or thereabouts. But instead of saving the fuel now, he's got into the point we're getting close to the pit window, or for him, possibly, and he's thought, well, I've got to put my foot down and go and get through pit lane and try and let the gap solve itself so I can come out of pit lane before these guys. So he's putting down some qualifying laps at the moment and trying to extend his legs over Jared Knight and Trent Laves, or Laves. I'm still not sure. You say Laves, I say Lavers. Zachy says Lavers. Let's just roll with whatever. But all the same thing. But yeah, he's putting his foot down at the moment. You can see the margin visibly getting bigger, now out to 1.2 seconds. Jared Knight and Lavers in the second and third position, pretty much identical lap times last time around. You see Laves just getting a little bit in front of him at the moment. But 25 minutes into 40, 15 minutes to go, we're going to see pit stops come very, very quickly. Paul Wood in 11th position, up 7 positions if you don't mind there, mate. So Paul Wood up 7 positions, your biggest mover of the race so far. We'll go give Paul Wood some love because we've been concentrating on the leaders. And Paul Wood there in the Bailey Ladders entry. He's had some solid results lately in other series on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. As we go back to an Orbic replay, this is Russ Green making his way through the change of direction. He's going to do the same thing that we saw. I can't remember who it was earlier, did the exact same thing, but that was a worse result for us, and he's gone straight into the inside wall. And that's a toe, and that's pretty much night over for Russ Green.
Yeah, that's a rough one for him. Just going a little wide, clipping the sand, losing the traction there, and ended up hitting the wall, so damage, of course. That would be why he towed. Didn't seem too severe, but I'm not sure. He just decided to tow for the sake of it. Looks like there is also another off-track. This is the newcomer, Benjamin Doughton, on the run to turn 1. Yep, just missing it there and going wide. So luckily,
and Benjamin Doughton, sorry mate, Benjamin Doughton, the newcomer that we saw we haven't seen before, one of only 3 BMWs on track tonight. So BMW is not the car of choice around here tonight. Even though you can't really change your manufacturers through the season, I think you might get one chance. I'm not sure what the GT4s are, but either way, only 3 BMWs on track tonight. So BMW generally a pretty good, like, high choice from drivers, I'd suggest. And yeah, only 3 on track tonight. But the Aston Martin on your screen now of Trent Lavers Still just nibbling at the back there of Jared Knight, and you see two totally different lines into that left-hander as they make their way down onto the straight here. They'll take lap number 16, and there's your first blink. Trent Labors into pit lane out of P number 3, mate.
Yeah, so he's decided he's going to go for the undercut. Lap 16, we'll see how that develops for him as John Merritt will take P3 from him. And yeah, it's well known that really the only BMW driver that sticks with it is Dale Sharp. He's usually the one repping the Bavarian Motorworks flag, as it were. Yeah, not a big popular in the GT4, but BMW is a really popular choice in the GT3. Really popular. If you have a look at any of the major enduros that happen over the year in iRacing, most people drive a BMW because of how stable it is in the GT3 class. But in the GT4, not so much. Doesn't really get as much love.
Well, you can see how much racing I've done in the GT4 because I've got nothing right in relation to that tonight. I'm obviously referencing the GT3 racing I've been doing. So, yeah, but Pete Matto Matson now. We'll see what happens here in the Orbic replay.
Oh, does he get
the inside curb? Maybe a bit of half a dozen one way, half a dozen the other. We'll see if we can change the view. So in through the corner. Yep. Yes, he does. He gets a bit of a help through the apex, and Pete Matson goes around. So that's going to drop Pete right down the field, and it definitely has done that. And he's now back down into the 17th position, but still up 3 on his starting position. But they've got to come across start-finish line again before that will change, I'd suggest. So he won't be happy with that one, but he'll keep making his way forward. Still got another 11 minutes to go on board with John Merritt. 3rd position, Dench doesn't come in, but 2nd place, Jared Knight does. So Matt Dench obviously saved enough fuel there in the early stages of this race behind Trent Labors, and he's going 1 extra lap. So 2nd place, Jared Knight into the pits. And just keep an eye out, because Matthew Dench, oh, big snap there. See the wheel work there on the exit. Driving very aggressively. He'll want to have a really strong in-lap here and try and cover off on that undercut or overcut, as you say. Well, it's an undercut, not overcut, of the drivers behind. So this is a very important lap by Matt Dench. And he'll want to get his pit lane transit completely right. He'll want to hit his marks right. Expect to see your leader, Matt Dench, come in this lap. So, mate, we're seeing the pit strategies play out. Under 10 minutes to go now. This is where it all plays out.
Yeah. So Jake Jackson and Nick Ferdiatis staying out as well. They're the only, so themselves, Matt Dench, the only cars not to have pit. Trent Lavis, he develops into P4 at the moment now, pitting in lap 15. Jared Knight exits just behind him with a 2-second gap. And John Merritt pitting in lap 16 as well. He comes out with a 7-second gap to P5. So these intervals have really, really blown out now. And that's a bit of a worry because that puts Matthew Dench 30 seconds ahead of Trent Lavis right now. So if Matthew Dench comes into the pits, let's have a look here.
We'll expect to see him in this time, I'd suggest, mate.
Yep.
Here we go. He comes
in.
So we'll just have to keep one eye on where Trent Labors and Jared Knight are. Trent Labors blinked a lap earlier than Jared Knight. Has he been able to get clear air and cut a good lap? We'll have a look. His last lap was a 2:11 because he went through pit lane. Jared Knight, was the first to blink. 1:59.4. Yeah, not really going to get an idea. So we'll just have a look here and see how close they get and whether Dench, he's already out of pit lane. Have a look at this.
It's going to be...
He's going to have to...
Oh, he's actually... Right. I don't know if he's going to get him right.
Nah, Labors has got him. Labors has got him here. I reckon, no? I'm just looking at the meterage.
Oh, no. He came out with a decent gap. So, Labors is flying down towards turn 1, but Matthew Dench... See, that's fantastic. So, with a 30-second lead, he managed to come out a second and a half down the road. The problem is he's going to have slightly colder tyres, obviously... having to wait in the pit lane. He wouldn't have switched them, I don't believe. I don't think you have to in a 40-minute race. It would have just been the fuel. So we'll see if Trent can bring down this gap. Jared Knight also within 2 seconds there. So slightly extended gaps between the top three. But I'm curious to see if Trent will be able to reel this in. I don't think so, though, because once Matthew Dench finishes this first lap and his tyre temps get back, I can only imagine he's just going to sail away to the finish.
Well, at the end of the day, mate, Matthew Dench doesn't have an I rating of 7,300 and won a lot through iRacing for no reason. So he's it'd be hard pressed to catch him. Not saying that mistakes can't happen, but back on with Jake Jackson, he started in the 4th position up into the 6th position now. So he must have got a slow down early, I'm not sure, but that's Richard King right in front of him. Let's see whether Jake... So we've seen 1.9s on the streams of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club all night tonight, and we'll see him again, but not at the pointy end that we're used to seeing the 1.9s. He's up into 6, but not on the podium. We did have podium getters. Obviously, they're not all here tonight that we had last week, but 1.9 still a solid showing with Jake Jackson up there in P6 all over the back of Richard King, as now we've still got 6 minutes to go. We've circulated 18 laps, currently 1 minute 50 lap times on average. So we're looking at, we've probably got about 3.5 laps to go, and we'll crown round number 4 winner. The GT4s around Imola here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. Of course, I'll take the opportunity once again to shout out to all those sponsors, of course, Login Systems, Player One Sim Gear, M-Wave, Flash Graphics, Waste Options, everyone involved here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. You can have a look on top, across the top. Lobesy Racing, the guy in second, Trent Lavers, he's the man behind that. Big thank you to you, Trent. Not only do you sponsor the club, but you can drive as well, mate, up into second. He's the one chasing down Matthew Dench, and it's currently 2 seconds now, the interval. But this little battle is one of the closest on track. Jake Jackson looking to get into the top 5. Points are points, mate, and they want to get the most they can at the back end of this race.
Yeah, Jake, I mean, if Jake Jackson wanted to look at a podium, he'd have a hard 6 minutes ahead of him, 5 minutes. So I don't think that's in contention unless John Merritt and Jared Knight have a big mistake. And it looks like Richard King is doing a really good job of keeping him at bay, just palming him off in some of these corners. But look at how much that Porsche can close the gap into Aqua Minerale. It's huge. So it really dives into some of these corners.
That's the difference between the heavy Merc to the nimble Porsche. So that's the difference that we were speaking about earlier. But really good job by Richard King there. The change of direction, that car sat really stable through the change of direction over the curb. So Merc doing a great job. But under the heavy braking zones, we see the Porsche range up onto the back. But that's pretty much it. Does he have enough to actually make a move? That's going to be the question as we now go 4.5 minutes left, mate. So I'm impressed with the Mercedes, 2 in the top 5. So we've got McLaren P1 with Matthew Dench, Aston Martin Trent Laves in second, Mercedes P3, McLaren P4, and a Mercedes P5. So manufacturers at the top, and here we see the difference of the cars again. So coming into turn number 1, Jake Jackson really good under the brakes. Big right of the curb there by Richard King. But yeah, you can see under the brakes, but then through mid-corner and exit, the Mercedes seems to have a little bit more. So where's Jake going to get it done if he wants to? We're about to find out in the next couple of minutes, but the car's acting very differently, and Jake definitely trying really hard as he takes a lot of the curbs there, as you saw the car visibly bounce, and that would have been really unsettling for Jake, but you need to be able to do that, and he's trying really hard to get the job done here on Richard King. But Richard just eyes forward, and he's keeping him at bay at the moment with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, Jake's plan of attack here should be to just try and make that Porsche really big in the mirrors, I think. If he can try and goad a mistake from the Mercedes, that'll be the way forward, because right now he just doesn't have the performance to try and get him on any of the straights. Maybe if he can maintain this type of close gap, he might be able to get him on the main as they cross the line, but as it stands, that Mercedes is a little too powerful and will stay ahead. So he's doing a great job, though, within the 5/10 to the car. So he's doing well to stick with him, but any time they start to get some stretch on the track. That Mercedes just flies off. So, yeah, I think he's just going to have to try, keep it nice and tight to the back, make him second guess as to whether or not he's going to try and dive. The only problem is it's with GT4 cars, diving under brakes is like not a good idea. They don't stop well. So it's one of those things where, well, I could be wrong. He's going to try and go around the outside here, possibly as they go. So he's going to go try hard. He'll have the inside line, but he can't make the turn. See, they don't stop well. So that's the problem with these cars. Now Jake is it's going to extend almost to the 1 second mark, and all that hard work has just gone down the gutter.
I tell you what, that was good driving by both drivers. Jake making the move on the outside. Richard gave him a lot of room on exit, not too much to allow him to make it easy for him, but gave him enough to be able to get the move done if he wanted to, and he couldn't quite get the car stopped because he was on the right position of the road for the change of direction. So great driving there by both those drivers. Paul Wood now we're on board with, and he's chasing down Kurt Chapman in front of him in yet another Porsche. Kurt Chapman, who had the unfortunate incident early on in this race. He's made his way up into the 11th position now, just outside the top 10. Paul Wood chasing down him in the Bailey Ladders car in yet another Mercedes. So Mercedes-Porsche battle resumes, and we're now only a minute to go. So we're about to go white flag here for round number 4 of the GT4 series here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, as this battle still ranges. Here we go, white flag. Matty Dench comes across the line. No, that's not.
Yep, that's Matthew Dench right there.
Oh, that was Matthew Dench. Sorry, my screen was catching up with me. My apologies. Matty Dench comes across. So we go on white flag racing for the GT4s. Mate, it's been pretty much no incidents. Great driving and strategy for everyone for the 40 minutes. A lot different from what we saw in the Radicals and the Downforce early on. The strategy definitely did play a part, and we thought Matthew Dench should maybe get that one done. It looks like he has at the moment as well. So Dench, Lavers, Knight and Merritt, your 4. But Paul Wood still all over the back of Kurt Chapman as they're about to take the white flag here, as you see Barney up in your right-hand side top corner. And we're going white flag, mate.
Yep, so last lap here, as we go into overtime slightly, and Paul Wood trying to go deeper into the first turn. There's a big red Porsche in the way, so he's not going to be able to get the move done for now. He might try and look, as I think...
Or slow down.
He cut the corner. Well, that's a free position there, so Paul Wood up into P11. And an unfortunate
That's exactly what happened to Jake Jackson on lap 1, I believe, as Matthew Dench, your race leader, and he, if all things going correctly, is going to be the winner here for round number 4 into the final 2 turns. He's only got 2 turns to navigate, and he will take it home and be a winner for round number 4 of the GT4 series here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. And across he comes through the right-hander. We call it a straight, but a little bit of a kink. And your winner for round number 4 of the GT4 series here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club is Matthew Dench. Trent Lavers flashing his headlights comes across in P2. The battle for 6th and 5th is still heating up at the moment. Big run off the final corner. It looks like Richard King's just going to have enough as they go side by side across the line. Who's going to get this one? It's going to be Jake Jackson, is it? It is, as he gets him across the line. Jake Jackson in the P5. What a move there on the final turn. I tell you what, Richard King will be devoted at that, but what a race between those guys as they all come across the line. We'll go back to the replay of that one. That's side draft if I've ever seen it. Great run by Jake Jackson. We thought the Merc had some pace, but the Ferrari showed the little man that could. And have a look at this as they come across the line. There will be nothing in it, about half a car length. There we go. What a finish to that one. And Jake Jackson comes home in P5. But how about that, mate, as the drivers keep making their way through and finishing. What a great night here for round number 4 of the GT4s.
Oh, I think Craig might even have the same run here too.
Same.
Yeah. Well, he's actually going to have
BMW versus Porsche.
Yeah, a much larger gap there as Parry makes the overtake. Oh, no, sorry. He went to go make the overtake. He's chasing Matson to the line. I'm curious to see if he'll be able to get a better exit as well. No, Matson just moves over.
Same. We're going the same. We've done 3 in a row side by side.
Oh, no. He
yeah.
Well and truly ahead, so he'll cross. Good job there for P17. And that is everyone done in this race.
Oh, well, that spiced up for the miners very quickly there, didn't it, mate? But we'll go through your place getters and where your favourite drivers finished here for round number 4 of the Orbic Australia GT4 Challenge. From Imola, it was Matthew Dench taking home P number 1, 3.4 seconds the better than Trent Lavers. Trent Lavers coming home in second with Jared Knight in the 3rd position. 4th position tonight was John Merritt with Jake Jackson rounding out your 5. Richard King in 6th position with Jeff Adams coming home in 7th. Dale Sharp in 8th and Adam Lavers in 9th. Nick Fodiatis tonight rounds out your 10. Aussie E-Racers 8, 9 and 9, 10 and 11. So 11th position, the 3rd one of those, Paul Wood. Kurt Chapman home in 12th position tonight. Joe Baldwin in 13th. Grant Gill home in 14th. Craig Tiberti in 15th. Philip Butler in 16th. Pete Matson rounds out 17th position tonight. Harry Anastakis came home in 18th position. 1 lap down, Benjamin Doughton, newcomer to GSRC. Good start. Not quite the finish he would have wanted, but still a good result to come home in 19th position, a lap down. And Russ Green, not the night for him. 9 laps down, we saw him make contact with the inside wall earlier on in the race after going wide on the exit. So unfortunate for him there. But Joe Baldwin up into race control, mate. Good evening to you, Joe. Mate, you weren't in race control, you're in the race.
I was.
Not the way you wanted that to go with that one little mistake after a good start.
No, look, I actually did a bit of practice, which is unusual for me, right? And got a semi-decent qualifying, and there was a couple of trip-ups from the guys there, and I was running at the back of the top 10, and I was just chatting to the guys about when I was going to come in, and I don't know why, it was the only time it did it. The whole time I was in the server, it just come through and it just bounced off the curb awkwardly, and that Bailey Ladders Aston Martin just turned inside out. And I couldn't catch it. And there was a couple of people I seen on that exact same corner had the same problem. It's like you come through and there must just be a bump, and as you come off, it just upsets the car and you just can't catch it anymore. So yeah, we spun around, and I can't remember if I nosed the wall or not, but I thought to mitigate the time loss, I just ran straight into the pits and had my stop and just got on with it as best I could.
Well, you did a great job, mate. Still good to come back to where you did. GT4 around Imola, how did you find it, mate? As you said, you did mention you did a bit of practice, which you're not used to. How was the racing for the most part? Obviously, there was some strategy playing out between the boys, especially through the mid-pack. I think that would have sort of been a little bit more prominent than what we saw at the front. Obviously, we had a good race at the front with strategy, but mate, how did you find Imola in the GT4, mate? Did you enjoy it?
Imola's a track, I love the track, but it's brutal with the off-tracks now. They've changed some of the off-tracks, and like if you hit any of the inside curbs just that little bit too hard, it gives you an off-track. I think I finished with 13 or 14, and a couple other guys in the team were up in like 15, 16. Like it's brutal, so it's hard to get a flow. But when you actually get racing wheel to wheel with guys that you can trust, it makes for great racing. You know, there was Adam, Nick, Kurt Chapman. You know, that big bunch of us guys there. We were having a great race, and running so close with Nick, you can really see the strengths of the Aston Martin around here versus the Porsche. A lot of the tracks, the Porsche seems to get a good run on the straights. It never got the chance to do that here. I could run Nick down in a straight line and get up alongside him. He actually let me go, and I gapped him a little bit, but he was also saving fuel, and he did a great job of it. He finished. He would have finished in front of me if I'd have had the spin or not anyway. He took a lot less fuel than I did. So, but unfortunately, Yeah, hey, as far as across the field too, I just want to put a huge shout out to everyone that was in that server. We gave race control nothing to worry about. There was one bump between a couple of members and they were absolute gentlemen. It was redressed straight away. Other than that, I don't think there was any panel rubs all night. It was fantastic. It was probably one of the cleanest nights of racing that we've had. So it shows you that what Imola can bring to the table when you get a good field of guys and and a lot of respect right through the field. It was a good night of racing.
Just to jump in on that, there was literally one warning and then there was a redress. That was it.
Yeah, so and I can't remember the last time we've had a night like that when we've had this many cars. I think we have 26 cars or 25 cars tonight, something like that. And and we had one warning and one little incident that was redressed. So it's just shows you the respect and the calibre of the field from front to back tonight. It's been great fun.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the voice you heard in the background there was the race controller, Jamie Budd. He was happy with this one. He would have been happy to have a nice little cup of tea and a snooze in this one as opposed to what he saw in the Radicals earlier, or the Downforce legends. But it was good by everyone tonight. Good to see you having a good night, Joe, and enjoying your racing once again, mate. Obviously like to be a little bit further up, as we all do, but come back to P11, mate, and big congratulations. But everyone's joining us in the booth at the moment. And Paul Wood's been nice enough to join us. Paul Wood coming home in the 11th position, I believe, Paul. I don't have the
Yes,
tower
it
up.
was. Yes,
So
yes,
11th position, mate. Good job tonight. 11th position, up 7 positions after starting in the 18th position. You've got to be happy with your nice little moves forward tonight.
Wasn't too bad. I'm happy that I got the gains that I did, but overall wasn't real happy with the car. I just could not get any performance out of it. It was no straight line speed and didn't want to stop and didn't want to turn for me, so it was a bit of a struggle all evening, as was evident in qualifying, and then I was still trying to tweak the car right up until the race start, and unfortunately wasn't able to find the magic change to help me, so I just kind of battled on with what I had, and the Bailey's Merc kind of, well, in my feeling, let me down a little bit, but considering the result, I suppose I'll take it and move on to next week.
Well, you mentioned the Merc let you down a little bit. Daniel and I, through the broadcast, I was really interested to see how the different makes of cars had their strengths and weaknesses through the different sections of the track. How did you find the Mercedes drove through the race? The tight sections, I sort of, from I'd say, uneducated view, seemed to struggle through the heavy braking and changing, but through more the higher speed type of stuff, it seemed to be a little bit better. How did you find the Merc as opposed to the Aston Martin and the McLaren around you, and even the Porsche with Jake Jackson in 5th position tonight?
I found it was very hard under brakes. It didn't want to stop. If you got it turned, the tail end was a bit happy, but it just took too long to get up to speed, so it wasn't until sort of near the end of the straight where it really started to hit its stride. But I had a lot of trouble with quick change of direction, which I think is what was really letting me down tonight. It was unsettling the car way too much, and if I didn't get enough speed off, that's what led to a couple of mistakes I had and a couple of little drop tyres here and there. So yeah, overall, I don't think it was an easy car to drive. For me, I followed basically Porsches most of the time. They looked far more stable on the track. But again, I haven't driven Porsche around here for a while. The Aston, I can imagine from last season, would have been a real handful if you could get a rhythm going. It was a competitive car, but yeah, for me it was not a night for smooth sailing.
Well, mate, still, I'll let you know on a brighter note, well, not on a brighter note, on a bright note, biggest mover and shake of the night, up 7 positions. The next best to you was up 2, mate. So the old Mercedes was the car that think it could, and up 7 positions, mate. So the biggest mover and shake of the night would have to give you the Hard Charger Award.
Yes, thank you. That's it's nice to get. The extra points will come invaluable as well. So let's work on next week and see if I can improve the result.
Hopefully we can, mate. Thanks for joining us up in the booth, but we'll have to let you go and go across to the place getters. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have Trent Labors up in the booth, but we do have your 3rd place getter tonight, Jared Knight. Good evening to you, Jared, mate. Great night at the office. The first of the Mercedes home. P3 in a car that had different strengths and weaknesses. You got to be happy with that one, P3.
Yeah, I guess it's always good when you finish where you started, and if it's on the podium, it's yeah, even better. But yeah, the Merc just didn't have the legs over the run. I think the extra weight it's carrying just yeah, really sort of hurt it. Over the course of the night, started to lose the rear and almost had a few brown pant moments in the dying laps. But yeah, happy to bring it home, P3.
Well, just give us your thoughts. You did sort of have a little bit of a touch on it there. Did you have the similar feeling to Woodsy and stuff on the way that the car was driving in comparison to the other cars around you, i.e. you were racing an Aston Martin, a McLaren and a Porsche most of the night?
Yeah, I had to run. Well, I had to run a fair amount of wing. I don't know what kind of wing the Macca and the Aston were running, but yeah, it had nothing in a straight line. Yeah, that was just to keep the rear settled. But yeah, sort of with Paul a little bit there. At times it did want to stop coming into the heavy braking zones into one. But apart from that, it wasn't terrible to flow. It was really good over the curbs. Heading one before heading down the hill, it was yeah, mega through there. But yeah, just didn't have the ultimate race pace, unfortunately.
Well, still did a great job, mate, and come home P3. Round 5 coming up next week. Have you had a look at the track? Are you excited about that one? I know what track it is. We're going off to Willow Springs. You excited for round number 5? A new track to the iRacing server, only recently put on there. Have you done many laps around there? Do you even own it yet? So, yeah, what do you feel going into round number 5?
Yeah, the only laps I've turned around there was this series last season, and I was in the Aston last season and just didn't like it, and I think I finished Stone Motherless last, so can only go up from there, I guess.
Yeah, 100%, mate, but no doubt we will. We'll be interested to see you'll be in the Merc again, see how that goes around Willow Springs. I'm looking forward to that one. But Jared, mate, big shout out to the sponsors, mate. Big congratulations from everyone here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club and the broadcast team. It was great driving and great racing at the front tonight. We really enjoyed it. We hope you go back and enjoy the broadcast, mate. But big shout out to all the sponsors, everyone involved with your P3 tonight.
Yeah, cheers, Aidan, and yeah, it's good to hear your recognisable voice again. It's been a while between drinks since you've been commentating a series I've been in. So that's good.
No worries at all, mate. What was it last time? Porsches in the Blendline Porsche series, I believe.
Yeah, in the 992s, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, good to hear a familiar voice as well, mate. So nice to catch up with you, mate. And hopefully we have plenty more chats on the podium this year. But ladies and gentlemen, Jared Knight, P3 here for round number 4 of the GT4 series from Imola. Fortunately, we don't have Trent Lavers, but it brings us to the man of the moment, Mr. Matthew Dench. Good evening to you, Matthew. Big congratulations on a P1, mate. Didn't have it your own way. Looked like Trent Lavers was very quick early. He made one mistake. You saw the door open, you took the lead, and you weren't headed for the rest of the night.
Yeah, it's pretty good pace out of Trent there. Grabbed the pole, and yeah, we just followed him along, and he made that one little mistake, like you said, and we snuck by, and yeah, we managed to keep it just far enough out in front.
Well, we were mentioning in the broadcast, and I know you're not going to throw yourself under the bus and give away too many of your secrets, but we've all watched you race a lot. We've all seen lots of broadcasts. Were you just sitting behind him early trying to save some fuel? Because you went a lap longer than what they did. How was your fuel looking? What were you thinking through that section of the race?
I think early on, if the guy ahead's got good pace, you're always best off just to chill behind him and save a little bit of fuel.
Another question I can go into. Coming into, we saw probably 3 or 4 laps before you sort of hit that fuel pit stop window. You started to slowly creep out that gap from 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths, 9 tenths to nearly a second. Did you sort of see, okay, now's the time before we hit the pit stop window, I've got to put my foot down, get a little bit of a gap, and just go through pit lane and try and get what we saw was a 2-second lead when you exited pit lane for the final 10 minutes of the race.
Yeah, it's always good to like last few laps before you come into pit to go as fast as you can and try and maximise that gap before you hit the pit lane.
Yeah, it's what we said on the broadcast. We were seeing you do that. And you'll even if you go back and watch it, I said this is your most critical lap, the one that you were coming into pit lane, and you definitely did that and you maximised that well. I'll ask you the same question. We go across to Willow Springs next week. How do you feel about Willow Springs and track and car combo? Obviously open setup. There's so many different variables that are going to happen. Of course, you're going to be quick there or thereabouts, as you always are. How do you feel about Willow Springs and the GT4?
I'm pretty sure I still have to buy it, so I haven't run any laps there, so that'll be interesting, I think.
Oh, well, that's going to be interesting. You might find you back in the middle of the pack, mate. We'll see what happens.
I don't think we'll end up that far back. But we'll
no, I don't think so either, to be honest. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Denchi, your dad was tuning. I think that's your dad that was tuning in on the stream, mate. Always a big supporter. Good to see him tuning in. Obviously, I think you missed a round or two in the GT4s when we went through the championship standings. You going to be there next week, or yeah, you're thinking of being in there for round number 5?
Yeah, we'll try not to miss any more rounds. Last week I just kind of fell asleep waiting for the server to open. So we'll try and keep ourselves nice and refreshed and be there for the next rounds.
Well, mate, man of your calibre, no doubt we're going to see you at the pointy end at Willow Springs for round number 5, but round number 4, the winner. Big shout out to everyone that makes it possible, mate, here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, man of many words. He just comes in and races. So, segued into sponsors. Obviously, don't have many, Matty. Just a Sunday racer, mate.
Yeah, I mean, we race for Team PGZ. Don't think they have any sponsors on board those. So yeah, got a big international team. So it's always good to drive with those guys.
Well, actually, while you mention that, give us a bit of an insight into that. What do you do within that team? Obviously, 7,300 I rating, absolute amazing driver. Not wanting to blow smoke up your ass, so to speak. But you obviously do a lot away from league racing in the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club and other leagues you do. How'd you get involved in that? How's that look through the landscape of iRacing? We do know there are some very professional teams in iRacing, and you're obviously a part of one of that as an international team. Tell us a little bit more about that. Just let the viewers know a little bit more about that, because there's probably people watching this that want to get into iRacing, and it offers so much more than just going and doing officials and doing what they call as a game. So just, if you've got a second, just enlighten people a little bit more up to what experiences you've had through that sort of level and the things that you do in that landscape.
Yeah, I mean, we really had to step up our driving when we went over to Team PGZ. They do all of the top split events, we do special events, so like the softs over there, like 6K, 7K or higher, so there's just fast guys everywhere, and they do quite a few of the international leagues as well, which is always fun to jump in. But like I have been doing a whole lot of driving with them since I've been doing new jobs, so time zones catching me out on that one, but yeah, it's still pretty good.
And has there been opportunities, and have you looked at doing like World Championship stuff? We have seen there are different opportunities to qualify for those type of things in iRacing. Are they the opportunities within those teams that you would get access to, or?
Yeah, I eyed off the Porsche Cup, the PES series this time round, but I decided to not pull the trigger for it, and now I'm working full time. It's probably going to be hard to try and tee up something.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about priorities and time in the seat, because obviously we all can't just jump in and be quick. As much as you are quick, mate, it takes a lot of effort, and you've done a lot of laps to get there, mate. But thanks for giving your time and letting some of the viewers know. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It is Matthew Dench, your winner for round number 4 of the GT4s here on your Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. If you do want to get involved in iRacing, that's the type of level you can get to. Not the league racing, I'm talking stuff that is available. There are world championships you can qualify for. There are so many different things, whether GTs are your poison, whether NASCAR's your poison, whether open wheelers are your poison. whether production cars are your poison. You've got everything. You can go dirt racing, you can go off-road racing with the jumps if you want to do that. So much available on iRacing. If you do want to know anything more and you're not a part of it, just contact us at the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and we can point you in the right direction to get you started. But Daniel, mate, that's Denchi, the winner of round number 4 here from Imola. How good was that, mate? We've done a back-to-backer. Again, we had the Radicals, or the Downforce Legends, from VIR, Virginia International Raceway, backed up here at Imola and GT4. What a night of racing.
Yeah, it was a good one. It's a little bit of yin and yang, the Downforce Legends chaos all around, and then we came to Imola here for the GT4s, and everyone was nice and pacifist. So yeah, it was a great show from everyone involved, and congratulations to Matthew Dench for taking out the victory here at Imola for the GT4s, and of course Trent Laves and Jared Knight, P2 and P3 respectively. So a good drive from everyone, and yeah, just another shout out there to Paul Wood, 7 positions gained from the start of the race, so good extra points there on off of him.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. It was a night where we saw a lot of people gain a lot of points and a lot of people lose a lot of points through the different series. Not so much in the GT4, but great racing nonetheless. But Daniel, mate, thanks again for doing all the stuff in behind the scenes, mate. You've done an absolutely amazing job and made my life easy. And can't wait for round number 5 next week. But we're going to have to finish up this stream, I think, now. We've been going for a couple of hours. I hope you enjoyed everything here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is what we've got coming up over the next week here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. So Friday, we've got the Dallara IR18's Las Vegas Motor Speedway race starts at 8:30 p.m. for what you'll see 125 laps of, I can't say the word on the stream because iRacing can't say it anymore, but it's equivalent to an IndyCar, let's just say that. Dallara IR18. Saturday, Mountain Men comes your way here from Mount Panorama. Arca Menards in the Chevrolet Impala. So they're putting an Arca NASCAR on Mount Panorama circuit. How good's that going to be? That's going to be some great racing. Race starts at 8:30 p.m, 32 laps around the famous Mount Panorama Bathurst. Monday night, Super 2 V8s. They'll be live here on a double header on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. You'll see the man Zach Caven in the booth once again. It'll be Road America for the Super 2 V8s. Race start at 7:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time, and it will be a 25-minute race. Looking forward to that one. I'll be involved in the Super 3s. Can't wait for that one. Leading the series, just saying, Daniel. GT3 series will come up straight after that. I'll be involved in that one as well, hopefully facing in the right direction. Road America's your location. The race start will be 8:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. 90-minute race for that one. That's your Monday night motorsport. On Tuesday, we come across to the up-and-comers. Willow Springs again. So Willow Springs is a favourite next week for a lot of series. And the Toyota 86s are the car of choice. There'll be 3 races that night. Race 1 is 10 minutes, race 2 15 minutes, top 10 reverse grid, race 3 25 minutes. Then we go straight across to the GT1 Civil War Summer Point Raceway location. 9:40 p.m. start for that one, a late one, but a quick 35-minute race. GT1s, tune into them, they're a great car. You don't want to miss that. Wednesday night, we'll be back with you here for the Downforce Legends and the GT4 Challenge, brought to you by Orbic. Circuit Zolder, your location for the Downforce Legends. Race starts 7:45 p.m. for a 15-minute race and a 25-minute race too. Same as what we saw tonight with a reverse top 10. Then we go across, as we said, which we'll see a repeat of what we just saw, but from Willow Springs. Will it be the top 3? Will it be Denchi coming back, Matthew Dench, for another win? We're about to find out. Next Wednesday night from 9 p.m, 12 laps, race number 1, race number 2, 19 laps. We go sprint racing as opposed to the longer racing in the GT4s. Reverse top 10 for the second one, so really looking forward to bringing you that one. Then Thursday night, we'll go across to the Vs. They'll start off at the Vs at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Race starts 7:45 p.m. There'll be 3 races again, the usual 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and 15 minutes reverse top 10 reverse grid. Then we go across to the Porsche Cup. from Motorland Aragon. Race starts at 9 p.m. for 40 minutes. So definitely a lot to taste your, or tickle your taste buds here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. Of course, if you want any of the merch, go across to the link you can see at the top of your screen, race.GSRC.inc, and you can get any of your GSRC merch that you like and be able to take that home and wear it while you're watching it on the broadcast. But Daniel, that is the end of the broadcast. What a great night. It was Matthew Dench, Trent Laves, Jared Knight, your top three in the GT4s. Of course, we had Aiden Schwerkart leading the way in the final race in the Downforce Legends. But from myself, Daniel, everyone at the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, we hope you enjoyed everything. Hope you enjoyed the stream. We wish you a good night, and we'll see you next week.